Hey y'all, happy Monday. Welcome, 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 welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Make sure y'all hit the like button for your girl. If you don't mind. Thank you so very much. How y'all doing today? Let me Hey Troy. Let's see. Alright, let me get to my chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see if I got mods. Shout out to my mods. Hey Raina, E Brooks, Goddess. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. So we're gonna get into it. Have not been on this channel. Can y'all hear me? Put a one in the chat if y'all can hear me, cause Troy ain't speak, so I don't know. Hey, Funberry. Hey, boo. Cause Troy ain't answer. Ain't no telling what he doing, but I want to make sure y'all can hear me before we get started. Hey, Tamara. Hey, McCalla. Hey, James. All right. Thank y'all for the ones. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get started, y'all. Okay, so we have not been here for a while. Well, oh, last week I don't even know if think I came on once or twice last week, or maybe once. I don't know. But anywho, we're back on track. Back on track, back on track. So we're back. Um, hey, Miss Gloria. Hey, boo. So listen, what we're gonna get into today in depth is the mysterious death of the Murdoch family housekeeper, Miss Gloria Satterfield. But before we do, I got a couple of updates, okay? Well, yeah. Before we do, I got a couple of updates. The first update is this. So, the last time we talked about this case, this family and the scandals amongst the family. Hey, McKay, thank you. Um, we were talking about the fact that Miss Gloria's family wanted her body exhumed so they could come to so they can have another autopsy done to determine her cause of death. All right. So we're gonna get into that a little bit more later. But the first thing we're gonna get into is the fact that I did not know, or I can't remember. I don't think I knew that. Well, no, actually, we talked about Stephen's body being exhumed. We talked about Stephen's mother reaching out to have his body exhumed to determine his cause of death as well. So I got a little update. I'm gonna play a little short video first, and then we're gonna read a news article. Shout out to Flexi for sending me this actual video. Hold on 1 second, y'all. 1 second. All right, so shout out to Flexi because I did not know this. I did not know that it had actually been done. I know we talked about the fact that they wanted it done, but Flexi sent me a video. It's only like a 2 minute video that from Good Morning America, and then we're gonna read an actual news article that I pulled as well. Just to give an update on Stephen's case, and then we're gonna get into the Miss Gloria case. Okay. So, let me cut my Bluetooth on. Y'all give me a second. Okay, so Tamara? Tamara. So listen, I think autopsies were done on both of them. When I say both of them, I mean Stephen and Miss Gloria. But you got to remember that it's been so much corruption, like within the cases, that it's like they won't. The family is all there's been autopsies done, but the families are requesting separate autopsies because they feel like it's been some corruption within the little town or whatever, the little county or whatever. Remember, everybody thinks that the Murdoch family been paying people off and da 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 da. So it's literally like the families requesting these additional autopsies because they feel like that maybe the coroner or the coroner's office had been paid off to come up with certain determinations. So that's why they're getting, further autopsy or another autopsy on both of these, Miss Gloria and Stephen. So let me play this video from Good Morning America that was dropped actually like 4 hours ago on their channel, ABC News on YouTube. So we're gonna listen to this, and then I got an article I'm gonna read as well. All right. So with that being said, let's get started. Y'all, thank y'all for joining. Listen, please feel free to hit the like. Please hit the like button if you don't mind. Also, feel free to support the channel. Hit the cash app. Okay. All right, y'all. So hey, man, Charlie. Hey, Sirius. Did I miss anybody else? All right. So y'all, let's listen.
Eva Pilgrim has more on Stephen Smith's case than even we know his.
Hold on.
Eva Pilgrim has more on Stephen Smith's case than even we know his family. They have been fighting for this moment for many years.
That's so right, Robin. Stephen Smith's family has been trying to get answers since he died in 2015. They raised more than $118,000 to exhume his body and have an independent autopsy, hoping to find out what happened to the 19-year-old.
This morning, the body of Stephen Smith exhumed from its grave nearly 8 years after the teen's mysterious death, officials completing an autopsy after investigators changed course, ruling his death a homicide. Smith's mother, Sandy, posting this photo showing Stephen's body has already been returned, writing, "My baby is back in his final resting place." Sandy, hopeful for answers.
I was always fighting that this was a homicide and not a vehicle versus pedestrian. He didn't deserve to die this way. And I know somebody did it, and whoever did it needs to come forward and bring peace to this family.
In 2015, Smith, a former classmate of Alec Murdoch's surviving son Buster, was found dead in the middle of the road. At the time, his death was ruled a hit and run. But in 2021, the case was reopened by state law enforcement during the Murdoch murder investigation, saying they discovered new evidence while looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdoch. First responder Tommy Moore telling our ABC affiliate WCIV that when he found Stephen's body, he didn't think the 19-year-old was hit by a car.
There's two things that come to my mind. Either he was murdered there or he was murdered elsewhere and dropped there.
Buster Murdoch recently directly addressing speculation he was involved, writing, "These baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. My heart goes out to the Smith family."
And meanwhile, Alec Murdoch, who was convicted of the murders of his wife and son, has now moved to a statewide protective custody unit at a South Carolina maximum security prison, where he will remain in a single 8x10 cell until further notice. Guys.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
So basically, Stephen was exhumed this morning. I'm assuming they did the second autopsy or whatever, and he's back. He's back. His body has been returned to his gravesite. Let's see who this is, y'all. Oh, shout out to Nicole. Thank you, Nicole, so much for supporting the channel, sweetie. Thank you. All right. Hey, the True. Let's see. What's up?
Hey. I usually I give you a minute to digest my background before I speak.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Not the fist to the face. A lot of times I just glance at it because I already know it's going to be something to throw me off. So, did you hear about what I was saying about Stephen? And yeah, too, y'all. So, Buster Murdoch, I was supposed to get into last week his so-called addressing the whole Stephen Smith situation, and the only thing, it's nothing new, honestly. It's just him denying that he know anything of his death and he's innocent, blah 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 blah. So
yeah, it's hard for him to say he doesn't know who he is because the town is so small.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between knowing someone and then actually interacting with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So the DNA in the car or the DNA in his car would put him in uh, uh, proximity of him.
Right.
That's why those two things are very, very important as far as establishing. Well, you may have known him, but did you know him to be in his company?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tamara. Hold on a minute. Okay, Tamara, I didn't know he was in protective custody until I just heard that little piece on that video. But I'm assuming, I don't know though. I'm gonna have to look into it, but I'm assuming he may be in protective custody because he is a lawyer. But see, I don't think he was a criminal. I got to kind of dig into why he may be in protective custody.
Now,
Do you know anything about that?
Is he in protective custody or on suicide watch?
No, it said the video said protective custody. It didn't say anything about suicide watch. Because I know it's a difference.
He would have had to have a threat put against
him. And the fact that he's a lawyer, I'm thinking maybe it may be some inmates in there that he done.
Well, if he was a prosecutor, I could see, but him being a lawyer wouldn't get him in protective custody. It would have to be an active threat or an attempt upon his life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he did steal from a lot of people, and if the cartel angle, is in fact true, or if he was involved with any organized crime, but again, it would just take a rumor, of them putting a hit out on him, or they were going to hurt him, or somebody said, yeah, they're going to get him, that they would put you in protective custody to them is just moving you over to the cell with the rest of the snitches.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to look into that though. I'm gonna have to see if they state why, because I'm curious now, because I didn't know that until they just stated that on the video. So listen, y'all, let me read this short article about Stephen Smith and his because the title of it is Stephen Smith. It actually addresses both Stephen and Miss Gloria. So it says Stephen Smith, Gloria Satterfield, bodies to be exhumed. Here's what we know. Okay. In the tragic Murdoch crime saga, victims have fallen, and soon more information may arise in incidents with possible connections to the family. The double murder conviction and matching life sentences of disgraced and disbarred South Carolina attorney Richard Alec Murdoch offer resolution and legal vengeance of sorts in the grisly June 2021 killings of Murdoch's younger son Paul and his mother Maggie. In an earlier case connected to the Murdoch, the body of Mallory B. C. It's going to give us a history for those that don't know the history. This is basically a history of what's been going on with this family. In an earlier case connected to the Murdochs, the body of Mallory Beach was missing in Beaufort County waters for just over a week before being recovered in early March 2019, following the February 24th boating accident involving an intoxicated Paul Murdoch allegedly piloting his father's boat. Beach was buried and mourned by the Hampton County community, and legal vindication and form of financial damages have begun with a large See, this is where they talk about the settlement, True. Let me hold on, y'all. I didn't drop the link. Let me drop the link for anybody that wants to hit the panel before I get into. Hold on. All right, there's the link for anybody that wants to hit the panel, okay? Beach was buried and mourned by the Hampton County community, and legal vindication in form of financial damages have begun with a large portion of the recent sale of Murdoch's estate. Talks about the estate, the true mosaic going to the Beach family. So apparently the Beach family is going to get a large portion of the proceeds from the selling of the estate. This civil justice may continue when Beach family's wrongful death suit against Murdoch and other parties is heard in Hampton County, August the 14th.
Now remember,
So,
they reached a settlement.
yeah.
So any proceeds from the sale of that house go towards that settlement.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, I guess instead of them taking the property, Buster sold everything in hopes that there'll be leftover money. Now remember, it was a $50 million suit.
50 million. Mm-hmm.
But they settled for an undisclosed amount. So it was probably, they settled for maybe 4 or 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And Buster's thought is, I can get more than that, after selling a bunch of stuff. But he only got 2.9 million for the property. But there's other things on the I guess the content of the house, and I guess some businesses that he's trying to sell. So he's hoping that he'll be able to salvage something,
right,
for himself. Because they could have took the property as their own.
Absolutely.
But because he put it up for sale prior to the agreement, that he's allowed to sell it, or that was part of the agreement that he would sell it, and then your settlement would come out of that. Because it wasn't just the Beach that sued him. The Mallory's family sued him, plus the people on the boat sued him.
The other kids that were on the boat, their families.
We're all part of that. So I guess whatever settlement they came to, they get a part of that too. But of course, Mallory's family is going to get the biggest chunk of it.
Yep. So it says, but as these victims are symbolically put to final rest in courtrooms around the South Carolina Low Country, the remains of 2 other deceased people connected in some way to the Murdoch saga are now set to be exhumed from the grave and further investigated. An effort to exhume and autopsy the body of Stephen Smith, whose death state police began investigating just weeks after launching the Murdoch murders investigation, has already raised in excess of $110,000. Meanwhile, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is still poised to exhume the body of Murdoch's late household employee Gloria Satterfield, who died at his Moselle estate in 2018 during a case that has launched a criminal investigation and civil suits worth millions. So then it goes, mother of Stephen Smith raises $110 plus to exhume an autopsy son. In the wake of the double murder conviction of Richard Alec Murdoch, another local family still waiting for answers and justice in the unsolved homicide of their loved one is making a renewed drive to find the truth and a resolution to a years-old cold case that isn't cold in their hearts. As Murdoch tried to consume the world's media, and see, a lot of people think that the reason why it's been taking so long to actually do this is because of Alec's trial. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they're saying. Actually, with the death of Stephen, I don't know about the housekeeper, but with the death of Stephen, they reopened his case because his case was pretty much closed, right? And then, like, during the trial of Alec, they reopened it, or it was a cold case and they just started back investigating. Which one was it?
There's something within the trial that they found out that caused them to reopen the Stephen Smith case. Now, it also could be due to the fact that their protection is gone now.
Right.
And they raised questions about, what about Stephen Smith? We thought it was related all together. We think it's a cover-up. So they may have investigated something and found out about the people they're connected to. And with that being said, if they found out some people's names in the investigation of the mother and the son's murder, they found some names that were connected to him, then everything connected to them would have to be reopened, including the maid, including the because the autopsies would come into question if they feel,
they feel like the autopsies are compromised anyway.
Yes. So if they feel the person that did the autopsies or was in charge of the autopsies, or remember, they're coming up with all these people's names and connecting them to them, that may have come from the actual Maggie and Paul's murders. Those people may have come up in that, and they're saying, well, you know what? Those same people are connected to Stephen Smith, and those same people did the autopsy on the maid. So if we're questioning this, then we need to be we need to be questioning. Though it's just like a dirty cop. Anytime a dirty cop gets caught,
all his cases go into question.
Everything. DA, dirty DA. Anytime a dirty DA comes into question, then basically every case they've done has now have to be investigated by a third party.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, it says mother of Stephen Smith, and I read that part. As Murdoch's trial consumed the world's media and the public's attention from January 23rd until its March 2nd, that trial lasted from January 23rd until March 2nd. Murdoch was found guilty of killing his wife and son, earned him 2 consecutive life sentences. Sandy Smith has impatiently waiting for a conclusion of her own, but she has been waiting for 8 years. So Stephen's been gone for 8 years, y'all. Okay. The body of her son, Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old nursing student and Wade Hampton High School graduate, was found lying in the middle. This is for people that don't know that hasn't been watching and don't know the history, because we covered Stephen's death last week and the week before. The body of her son, Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old nursing student and Wade Hampton High School graduate, was found lying in the middle of rural Sandy Run Road in Hampton County, almost like a discarded piece of roadside litter, on July 8, 2015. He died from blunt force trauma to the head, but there were controversy surrounding the case from the start. At first, officials ruled the death a hit and run, but investigators now consider it a homicide based on evidence at the scene. For years, rumors circulated around the Low Country that the case was connected to the Murdoch family, and that name appeared dozens of times in witness statements to police. Yet the case grew cold, and to this day, there have been no arrest or even official confirmation that the case is, in fact, Murdoch related or not. But an 8-year unsolved murder mystery received new life and Smith's family new hope in July 2021 when the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division opened a new investigation into Stephen Smith's homicide.
Now wait. The reason they may not be speaking on why they reopened the case due to the Murdoch murders is because somebody may have snitched. So when they're snitching, they decided I'm put both feet in this shit. I'm gonna tell you about the other murders too. And the snitch connected all those people. So everyone that snitch connected now has to be reinvestigated. And because they thought that these people were involved to begin with, that snitch just confirmed for them, because it's funny that not speaking about what made them reopen.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. What made them reopen?
So it would have to be a person that they do not want to disclose, and they don't want to disclose them because they may be the key witness against Buster.
So SLED, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, has opened an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith. Because, see, initially the case was being investigated by the state troopers or the Highway Patrol. Highway Patrol. Once it was considered to be a homicide or whatever, SLED opened an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith based upon information gathered during the course of the double murder investigation of Paul and Maggie. And see, that goes to what you said, D. True. They opened a new investigation. The new investigation based on information gathered during the course of the double murder investigation of Paul and Maggie Murdoch.
Yeah, so they interrogated. Now remember, this is the third time that this investigation has been reopened. Remember, they reopened it in 2000.
Hey, Rocky Rock, thank you.
18, and then I think they reopened it again.
2020.
Somebody else reopened it, and now they reopened maybe twice. So they reopened it twice because they did it in 2018, and now in 2021 they reopened it again, and now new people are looking at it.
Yep. With the spotlight dimming on Alex Murdoch, the Smith family feels it's time to shine some new light on their murder case, and a GoFundMe drive has been started to raise money for an exhumation and independent autopsy of Stephen Smith's remains. While the world knows intricate details of other deaths and criminal charges surrounding the Murdoch name, the Smith investigation, or the Smith homicide, whether or not it is in fact connected to the Murdoch family, remains the biggest unsolved mystery of the Murdoch saga and a frustrating case for family and law enforcement. So basically what they're saying is that even though there were statements made and things of that nature, they still don't know if this case is connected to the Murdoch family. But by the name being mentioned so many times in so many statements, they're investigating it to see for sure. On March 10th, which was a little about a month ago, on March 10th, Sandy Smith organized a GoFundMe fundraiser page titled Independent Exhumation and Autopsy. The fundraising goal was $15,000, but in only its first week, that page raised $41,034. On March 16th alone, one anonymous donor gave $1,500. By Monday, March the 27th, the page had raised $110. I can't even get it right. $365. $110 and counting. The page had
$110,000.
Yeah, $110,000. $365,000. It's the way they got it written. I wish I could show y'all, but it's weird. But anyway, and counting. The page had received 3,300 donations, with the top donation in the amount of $2,000. Now, see, I know people love Stephen, even though they treated Stephen's death like it was nothing. Those people in that little town, county, or whatever, people actually love this young man, right? The large donations. Where do you think some of those large donations were coming from?
People that Alex screwed over.
That's what I was thinking. Exactly, because I'm like, okay,
because for every town, there's going to be businessmen that Alex screwed over to get.
Thank you, Rocky Rock. Thank you for watching my replays. Thank you.
To get what he wanted, he screwed over a lot of people in that.
He did. So, he stole from people too. The truth. Remember?
Yeah, he stole from a lot of people. But I'm saying, in order for him to get the deals, and think about it. He had 1,700 acres.
Yep.
Of property. So that means some of that property he stole.
Wait a minute. You said he had 1,700 acres, and you think some of it he stole?
He stole from people, meaning he short bid them, or he got it away from a family member, because you don't just 17 in today's times, 1,700 acres is a lot of land.
And then we talked about how large the 17 acres was, and how small and mediocre the house was compared to the acres.
And it was sitting on a property adjacent to 2 rivers. Okay, and the way that property was set, I can guarantee that either he foreclosed on some people, some farmers. He may have foreclosed on some businesses. Things like that are happening, because you don't just come across. I don't care where you are, even if it's a poor dunk little town. 1,700 acres is hard to come by.
And that, I'm gonna say, that property was gorgeous. It really was. And that's why when I looked at the house, I was like, well, man. I mean, it was a nice house, but it wasn't nothing compared to that land it was on. But yeah. And then, like you said, the River Ad says, all the accusations that come with that, the whole cartel and the drugs and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of innuendos and a lot of proposing that this could have been. So we don't know for sure, because no one's ever testified to it.
Right.
But that river mouth leaded out to the ocean. So yes, it would be accessible.
Didn't you say it led to Mexico?
No, remember, you're on the East Coast. So
no, not Mexico, but
the Florida coastal area.
Yes.
So
Florida.
It's South Carolina.
But
any open mouth coming in is used by the cartels to smuggle things. So,
pretty much.
But that river that opened up to the ocean.
Right.
But to get that property, and I don't think that property was passed down to him. I
don't think so neither.
Because Grandpa was still alive. So that
property, he's got his own. Actually, he got his own estate.
Yes. So that property wasn't passed down to him. So it wasn't something that's been around for a while. To purchase that much land is almost impossible in the United States now, unless you go into West Virginia, up in the mountains, or Alaska or someplace like that.
Right.
Most of the open areas like that, either the government owns it, or it's been passed down from generations.
Thank you to the 52 people in the chat. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this hashtag content that matters. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Miss Gloria. Listen, y'all feel free to hit the Cash App, and also hit the like button, please, so I can keep this in the algorithm. I was off a couple of days last week on this channel, so I need to get back in the algorithm. So y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. All right. So according to the GoFundMe page, if Smith's body is exhumed, the Smith family doesn't want the state to conduct the autopsy. Now, they don't want the state to do it again, okay? At the Medical University of South Carolina and Georgia, where such studies are normally held in this part of the South Carolina Low Country. They stated, we feel it's critical to seek a new goal, an independent exhumation and autopsy, and we're launching Justice for Stephen N. Smith with that immediate goal in mind, states the page. While the state can elect and fund an exhumation and new autopsy, it is our understanding that it will be carried out at the university, where his death was initially classified as a hit and run, despite no evidence to support it. The family also stated we need a new unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts.
Yes, they're going to pay for an independent autopsy conducted by a independent coroner.
It says the site also, and they're talking about the GoFundMe site, y'all. The site also states that the autopsy alone is expected to cost $7,000. In addition, a private medical examiner must be present from the start of the exhumation through the examination period at a cost of approximately $750. Lord Jesus, I'm in the wrong occupation. $750 per hour. But thanks to recent generous donors, this now appears possible.
A lot of people hated them.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah. Oh, they the family. Go ahead.
This is not about.
I think a lot of people with a lot of money in that little county funded that GoFundMe. Like people gave like, hey Bayou, generously. Hey B Nicole.
I believe so too. But this isn't about justice for Stephen Smith or the maid. This is about smearing the Murdoch name.
Yeah.
This is about burying the Murdoch name.
I wouldn't even say smearing. I would say exposing. Because maybe they did do something. Like they are involved in both of these cases.
Well, they are, but I think they want it all to come out. I think they want the Murdoch name to be mud. And they want everyone to know what these people did all the way down to Grandpa Murdoch.
Yeah, because he's still chilling in the cut.
Yep. And the brother, they want
Buster.
all of them. Yeah. They want Buster. They want his brother. You know, the one that was it. Jerome, what's his name?
Well, not Jerome. It's Randy. Randolph.
Yes, Randolph. They want him mud. They want all that. They want the Murdochs because the Murdochs have controlled that area for so long.
Yes.
And a lot of those people believe that they could have been more or they could have done more had it not been for the Murdochs.
Right.
So
you talk too much.
You're saying numbers and stuff, but that money is way past what they actually need.
Yeah, because they asked for 15,000. They got 110 plus, and it's still going up.
Yeah, because these people want more than just that. I don't know what they're going to see other than re-examining the skull. Because everything else, it's been 6 years. There can't be very much. Plus, he was embalmed, and things like that. So, unless they're looking for, there wouldn't be any chemicals.
No DNA or nothing like that.
They have to be looking at the skull.
And the injury to the skull.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The consistency of the injury. I don't think they think the coroner actually did justice on what happened to him and how it happened. I think they're trying to coordinate between the injuries and what these people have been saying. Right. Remember, there's been eyewitnesses that have come forward and said, yeah, they drove by and cracked them in the head.
Because it's the baseball bat for me.
Yeah, well, they've always said it was a baseball bat. And they found.
But to be honest, I think that an independent autopsy, like, it's a huge difference between a person receiving blunt trauma to the head from a car and a baseball bat.
Well, yeah, but they've already kind of debunked the mirror.
Right.
So, but they need the bat to come into play. They need definite.
And I think, like you stated in the last live, that bat is gone.
Yeah, that bat's gone. That bat's in the river somewhere. They took it in a boat and took it out to the ocean and threw it out there. So, but now it's like we need to line up what these witnesses are saying.
Right. Right.
And the only way
Because
to
you know
do
they can
that,
do the whole angle thing. They can
well,
do the
yeah,
whole.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to look at the skull and they're going to be able to tell, but again, here's the problem. Did they put everything? Is there stuff missing?
That's true.
Did they throw some things away?
Mhm.
When they were embalming him, did they,
Mhm.
pack it because,
Basically, was his remains contaminated?
yes, and they're going to
Mhm.
say that because now he's been embalmed,
Mhm.
and a lot of times, without being too gross, uh, the funeral home will pack,
Mhm.
so they take paper or whatever and pack it to get the shape back,
Mhm.
especially if
Mhm.
your skull has been damaged and they want an open casket or whatever.
Yeah, because she wanted an open casket because she wanted people to see how he was. What happened to him. She wanted an
Yeah,
open casket. Uh
yeah.
huh.
But in order for him to sit right, they may have had to pack the back of his head.
Right. 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 Right.
So
So go ahead. Go ahead.
that's going to change the autopsy a little bit. That's gonna this new independent autopsy. Honestly, I don't think what are they looking for? Are they?
And this is the thing. So okay, and I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna get back into the article so we can get into the videos. But he was exhumed this morning. Okay, and he's already back. So do you think that? To me, that's a short amount of time. So do you think that the short amount of time means they couldn't find they really couldn't find anything new, or maybe they did? What do you think?
You mean so he's been exhumed, correct?
He was exhumed this morning, and he's already back in his grave.
Yes. Well, they all see because it's been 5 years. There's probably not
A whole
much
lot left.
left to him.
Yeah.
So it's just basically photographing measurements and things like that. So
Yeah.
the it doesn't take very long. Most of the time when a body's exhumed, it's not exhumed for very long, especially after 5-6 years. There's not much they
Okay.
can do with it. Uh, like I said, his clothes have already been thrown away because the chain of custody was broke. There's things. So what I believe is that, well, I mean, but the teeth, yes, but what do you unless
But the teeth in this case wouldn't make much of a
yeah,
difference. Like, yeah,
unless you're looking for poison,
yeah, yeah. Power on. Uh-oh.
you
Sorry,
you
y'all.
you can extract the teeth and go for the bone marrow that's in there, things like that. If you're looking for poison and stuff like that, but if he got hit like he did, I'm pretty sure his teeth were knocked out.
Yeah.
But most people that are exhumed aren't exhumed for very long. They're just taking. But again, his hair follicles, your hair is still there. Your fingernails are still there. All the
Mm-hmm.
things that they need for DNA is still there even after you've decomposed.
Ooh. Okay. So it says the family of Stephen N. Smith is incredibly grateful for the outpouring of love and support we have received from standing for Stephen and the community as a whole. You have been monumental in shining light on Stephen's story and the lack of justice, states Smith's page. Our family is very grateful to all of you who came together to help us in our fight for justice for Stephen. I could not imagine, well, I could not have imagined when we began this fundraiser that it would take off the way that it did. She says, thank you. What a page says, thank you for not allowing Stephen's story to be swept up under the rug. We will pursue the exhumation immediately and provide updates along the way. Thank you for the kind words, prayers, and donations. You have made you have made this possible, and it means the world to us. This is Stephen's year. Okay, so that was it on what they had to say about Stephen and the exclamation. Now, I'm thinking since they did the exclamation that day and they did whatever. I'm gonna continue to look for updates on that, and when I get them, y'all, I'll bring them to y'all. So now we get into Miss Gloria. Gloria Satterfield's remains awaiting exhumation sled autopsy. So now we get to Miss Gloria, and her family requested that her body be exhumated and re-autopsied. Okay, so in June 2022, South Carolina's top law enforcement agency announced it will begin a process to exhume the body of Gloria Satterfield, the former housekeeper to Richard Alec Murdoch, while an investigation into the suspended Hampton County attorney continued. Satterfield.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah. Somebody said something.
Somebody talking. Yeah, I just said somebody talking.
You pull it up. You don't just pull it. It takes a court order, and you have to show evidence to have a body exhumed. And all parties involved can say no. Essie Berry tried to have Rerun's body exhumed.
For what?
She said he was poisoned over a $20 million scandal.
By who? Oh yeah, you talked about that. By who though? I can't remember.
It was by it was supposedly by a bank.
Yeah.
But
can you tell me when you think you might be able to do this interview?
We're gonna talk about that today.
Gosh,
we're gonna talk about that. But okay, so she was the widow by default, and she asked the courts with the Globe's help to with the rag paper, the Globe, the Inquirer, the Globe, and all
right.
With their help, they were trying to get Rerun's body exhumed so it could be tested for being poisoned.
Right.
Where they're saying he died of natural causes because he was a fat, obese pig who died from stroke complications.
Oh God, the truth.
Right? So rest in peace, Rerun. I love you. But so she had to petition the courts, and his children said no.
So the children didn't want him exhumed.
No.
Right.
They had already had a second autopsy done. They said there is no need to disturb my father with your crazy schemes.
Oh wow.
So anyone could have, anyone in the Smith family could have blocked it.
Oh no, because their mama wanted it.
Yes,
she absolutely wanted it.
The father could have blocked it.
But the father passed.
Yes, so
the father passed not too long after Stephen.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, if you try to exhume somebody, other people could block that. There's other people that are involved in this, and they all have to say yes. So whoever the living heirs can overrule you. As a wife, you have a little more to say, but again, if you're not executive of the estate, they can block you.
Wow.
And Fred Jr. is executive of the state.
Oh wow.
Not Essie Berry.
Not the supposed wife at the time. Yeah. Ex-wife or whatever. Craziness.
Well, it's not that Monica wants, isn't it? It's not that expensive. Again, it costs as much as it would be to bury somebody. So it'll cost a couple of $1,000s for them to get out there, dig it up, and then because it's exhuming a body that's already been buried, certain people have to be there. Certain procedures have to take place because you're opening that box and there's toxic fumes that are going to come out. It's not like the movie. You just open a box and some dust flies out. No, there's some toxic shit in that box that could hurt you.
Is that from the embalming fluid?
Yeah, most of it's from the embalming fluid and things like that are being expended. So there is other precautions that you have to pay for. I say it's maybe $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, they said that the actual exhumation was like 7,000, and then there was the whoever was gonna do the autopsy had to be there. That was what, $750 an hour.
Yes, but it's not just a regular coroner. It has to be a pathologist, which specializes in like remains. So it's not like a coroner that's just looking for your cause of death, looking at a bunch of meat on a table. This guy has to be an expert in pathology and in that field of finding out from what I'm trying to say is there's different types of pathologists and coroners, and you have to get that kind of pathologist to do the autopsy.
It says that Satterfield died February 26, 2018, after what was reported at the time as a trip and fall incident at Murdoch's home. SLED opened an investigation into her death on September 15, 2021, because initially it was ruled an accident. But on September 15, 2021, while investigating several other cases connected to Murdoch, including the alleged theft of her wrongful death settlement, investigators now believe that her remains may hold additional clues to the circumstances surrounding her death. In April 2022, which is a year ago, almost, SLED contacted the attorney to Satterfield's estate, Eric Bland, to seek consent to give SLED the authority. See, SLED, now see, with Stephen, his family, requested his exhumation, but with Miss Gloria, SLED actually requested her body be exhumed. Okay. SLED said in a statement, that the complex process would take weeks, not days. Agents from the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is SLED, sought and received permission from the Satterfield family through their attorney to exhume the remains of Gloria Satterfield. The statement from SLED reads, "This investigation is still active and ongoing. SLED has been very respectful and considerate of the family's feelings and how traumatic all of this has been for them," Bland told the Hampton County Guardian. Bland went on to say that this was going to be a very, very delicate process because Satterfield's husband is buried with her. So I don't know if they mean he's buried next to her or like actually, because he passed before her. So, but this is saying his husband is buried with her. Maybe they mean next to her. I don't know. Satterfield lies at rest in the Johnson State Paul Cemetery in Hampton County and is interred with the cremated remains of her son. Oh, okay. So the cremated remains of her husband, David Michael Satterfield, who died on May 14, 2013. Wow. Bland said SLED would have to transport Gloria's remains to Charleston for analysis, then rebury her in the original spot per the family's wishes. No date was set for when the exhumation would happen, Bland said at the time. However, almost a year later, Satterfield's family members said last Thursday that they are still waiting notification and details from SLED. It is unclear if the Murdoch murders investigation have delayed the Satterfield investigation or not. Satterfield, who was employed as a longtime housekeeper and nanny for Murdoch and his late wife Maggie, reportedly fell down exterior steps at the Murdoch's vast rural Colleton County State. The vast rural Colleton County estate, Moselle, on February 2nd, 2018, and suffered a head injury. After her death, Murdoch then allegedly orchestrated a scheme. Now it's getting into what Alec Murdoch was convicted of, I guess, y'all. After her death, Murdoch then allegedly orchestrated a scheme. No. They're actually talking about the money. Listen, y'all.
This is the money he stole from
the
the maid's family.
Yes.
Who had another lawyer, and somehow Murdoch got their lawyer to send him the money
instead of the family. So, after her death, Murdoch then allegedly orchestrated a scheme along with fellow suspended and accused South Carolina attorney Corey Fleming, in which he convinced her heirs, Tony Satterfield and Brian Harrod, to file a lawsuit against his own insurance company using Fleming as their attorney. After which, the two lawyers allegedly stole the death settlements according to charging documents. Now, for those that didn't get it, Gloria Satterfield, the Murdoch housekeeper, falls, hit her head on the stairs outside of the home, passes away from a head injury.
She had an aneurysm.
Alec Murdoch.
Yeah, so it says had a brain hemorrhage and died.
Go ahead and speak. My mama calling. I'll be right back.
Okay, so they said her death was attributed to natural causes despite the fall, and that no autopsy was conducted. Miss Satterfield had a brain hemorrhage and died in a hospital several weeks after the fall. So there was no autopsy conducted, so they didn't check into the fact of did she trip and fall, and does this fall contribute to a tripping happening, or did someone hit her in the head, or did someone push her? But they're saying she tripped over some front steps in the home. Let me see where it is. Here it is right here. The lawyer who's endured a dramatic downfall, but where's the actual where she got hurt? Oh, okay. So he died after falling on the front steps of the Murdoch's family rural home, following referred her two sons to a lawyer. So he actually found the lawyer for them, this Corey Fleming. So Murdoch sets them up because they actually sued the estate for her death. So he said was taken to custody at a drug detox center in Orlando, Florida, and charged with 2 counts of obtaining property by false pretense, a felony with a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. He was booked. The charges stem from a settlement that Mr. Murdoch and his insurers reached with the sons of the housekeeper, who died in 2018 after falling on the front steps. So think about it. The front steps. What the front steps could be what? Maybe 5-6 steps at the most. And she hits her head and then later dies from a brain hemorrhage. And then Mr. Murdoch referred her 2 sons to a lawyer he promised would help them. The sons claimed in a recent lawsuit, but did not disclose that the lawyer, Corey Fleming, was a close friend and former college roommate of Alex Murdoch. Fleming eventually negotiated a $4.3 million settlement with Mr. Murdoch, under which Miss Satterfield's sons, Tony and Brian, would be paid about $2.8 million after lawyers' fees. But the son said that the latest lawsuit, they never told about the settlement and never received any money. Instead, according to their suit, had directed Mr. Fleming to send the money to him, essentially to set up a fund for Miss Satterfield's adult sons more than $3 million, the lawsuit said, wound up in Mr. Murdoch's personal account. So the lawyer that he gave them was a college roommate of Alex Murdoch. And he told them to set up a fund in the two boys' names, and they would be paid through that fund. They said they never received any money, and instead the money ended up in Alex's bank account. But this was a $4.3 million lawsuit.
Yeah, he did, man, Carla. He did set him up. Yep. Money. But see, you guys to remember that Alex Murdoch been stealing money from various people for a long time. He's a thief.
Yes, he actually would get settlements and then rewrite the settlement portion of it for a less amount.
Yep.
So if you won $400,000, he would rewrite the settlement paper to say you won $200,000. He would take his fee and the extra, the $200,000.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Let me see where I stopped. Mama threw me off. Let's see. After the death. Okay, so Murdoch was first sued in civil court. Alec is who we're talking about, y'all. Alex Murdoch was first sued in civil court on the matter on September 15, 2021. Then criminally charged with a fraudulent insurance scheme. Because you explained the scheme, right? Because I would listen to you talk while I talk to my mom. So you explain what the scheme was.
The house insurance that Alex Murdoch had negotiated a $4.3 million settlement in the lawsuit.
Right. So it says since then, other superseded indictments have been levied against him in that case. So when Stephen Murdoch actually went, not Stephen Murdoch, Alex Murdoch, when he was convicted or tried and convicted in the case of the murder of his wife and son, he also faced those charges. But it says here, on May 11th, a federal lawsuit was levied against Murdoch by the insurance company, one of the insurance agencies allegedly defrauded in this scheme. The lawsuit raised new allegations related to Miss Gloria Satterfield's death. You know, since he schemed and plotted and stole when it came to the insurance settlement, they start looking into her death. Like maybe, someone knocked her off for the money. So it says the lawsuit states Murdoch rushed to the scene when Satterfield failed, because initially they said he was not there. Well, he said he was not there. Arriving before EMS, and that Murdoch told insurance investigators that the woman briefly regained consciousness and told him that his dogs had caused her to fall. This statement was heard by no one else, and it's contradicted by Gloria Satterfield's later statement to hospital staff that she had no idea what made her fall, according to the lawsuit. So when EMS and the cops arrived, when she fell and hit her head, Alex Murdoch told him that she had regained consciousness for a second or a minute or however long it took her to tell him that the reason why she fell is because the dogs got in the way. But the hospital is saying that she woke up at the hospital and told them she didn't know why she fell. It says the suit also states that on March 29, 2018, Murdoch claimed Gloria Satterfield was at his property not to perform work for the Murdoch and his family, but to collect a check for work performed for someone else, thus avoiding a workers' compensation defense. Rather, she was there to perform work for herself, the suit states. So,
yes, if she was there working at the capacity of the family, then the Murdochs themselves could be sued, not the property. So because she wasn't working, that she was there as a visitor.
Right. Because she wasn't there to work. She was there to pick up a check for work done for somebody else.
So that means that the family is not liable because she was not working for them in the capacity of the family. That
Exactly.
she was just there as a visitor. So the property insurance has to cover the fall, not the family.
Power off.
Sorry, y'all. So it says during the 2021 bond hearing, Murdoch's attorney, Alec Murdoch, attorneys read part of an apology from Murdoch to the Satterfield family and stated that he pledged to sign a confession of judgment on May 31st, 2022, that $4.3 million confession of judgment was finalized in Hampton County Court of Common Pleas, but the criminal and civil cases remain pending. All right, so that's it on that, y'all. So that gives y'all like a synopsis of what's going on. Well, what went on with the whole Gloria Satterfield situation. Now, what we're gonna get into is a more detailed account of what happened to Miss Satterfield. The first thing we're gonna listen to, y'all, is a video from the show Today. If anybody's familiar with that show Today. This was done a year ago. Okay, this actual show was done a year ago, and it's entitled "Family of Alec Murdoch's Deceased Housekeeper Break Their Silence." So, in this show that was taped a year ago, the family is talking about, and it's only like 4 minutes and 19 seconds. The family talks about her death and everything. Well, probably not everything because it was a year ago, but things pertaining to her death. So let's get into it, y'all. Let me put my Bluetooth back on. I'm gonna say again, thank y'all so much for supporting this content.
Bluetooth connected.
I appreciate it so much. Y'all, please be sure to hit the like button if you don't mind, and also feel free to support the channel. Okay, so let's get into it, y'all. This is the Murdoch family, and her direct, I don't know if direct is the right word, but her sons are actually the ones that were like over her estate or whatever. I know one of her sons, I think she had two, but this right here, this little interview is gonna let y'all know. All right, so here we go, y'all.
These boys
Let me go back.
Worked hard at what she did, and she loved.
Hold on. Yeah, I do. Thanks for the likes, y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, the true. Okay. Here we go, y'all. This is Gloria Satterfield's family breaking their silence on her death. Okay. Hey, Miss Rosie. Hey, Raina. I don't think I spoke to you, Raina Pooh. Hey. Here we go, y'all.
She worked hard at what she did, and she loved what she did. She took honor in the job that she did.
Gloria Satterfield was the Murdoch family's longtime housekeeper. Her sister Ginger told me the families were close.
We thought of them as an extended family also because Gloria did.
In February 2018, Gloria stopped by the Murdoch home and there was an accident. What were you told about what had happened?
Just that she had fell, that she was tripped by the dogs, and that they thought she had a head injury because they saw blood. And that was about it until we got to the hospital.
Gloria languished in ICU for 21 days. Ginger will always remember the last one.
I just said, Gloria, I'll be back tomorrow. And I love you. And he told me, love you too. That's the last word I heard her say.
At her funeral 2 days later, Gloria's son Tony says Alec Murdoch pulled him aside and said he would make sure Tony and his brother got an insurance settlement for the accident.
So basically what they're saying is Raina is as bad as truth hurts with email. Child. Gloria, don't let him I'm not Gloria. Damn it. Raina, don't let him bully you, Raina. So listen, y'all. So 2 days after Miss Gloria passed, she remained in ICU for 21 days, right? 2 days after she passed, her funeral, Alec Murdoch pulls her sons aside, right? and this is what he says. Let me go back just a little bit. I just want y'all to know everything that's going on. Alec Murdoch pulls her sons, which is two. I thought it was two sons aside, and this is what he says.
Got an insurance settlement for the accident.
Hold on.
Make sure Tony and his brother, and said he would make sure Tony and his brother, son Tony, says Alec Murdoch pulled him aside and said he would make sure Tony and his brother got an insurance settlement for the accident. Did you believe him?
Yeah, of course. Well, wait a minute.
He said, I want to make sure the boys are taken care of because he loved Gloria that much.
But 3 years went by and nothing seemed to be happening. No money came their way.
And I says, something fishy about this thing. And I said, I just don't think these boys are going to get what they deserve, what's, due to them.
Then came the shocking news of the murders in the Murdoch family. Buried in the slew of news articles was a mention of the housekeeper's death and the $500,000 settlement that had gone to her children. That was news to the family. How much money did the family get after Gloria died?
Zero.
Not a dime.
Not a dime.
They hired
This is the family's attorney speaking, y'all. They're saying that they received nothing. Okay. Ms. Monica said, what has me confused is why was she picking up a check from him for work she did for someone else? Don't know, Ms. Monica. That's a good question, though. Don't know. But you got to remember that's the story that they told. So we know this family is questionable.
To investigate and discovered something startling. The actual insurance settlement for Gloria Satterfield's death totaled $4.3 million. Where did all the money go?
We're still tracing where the money actually landed, but it is impossible to burn that kind of money in Hampton, South Carolina.
On October 14th, Alec Murdoch was arrested, charged with obtaining property by false pretenses in connection with that $4 million settlement.
So Alec Murdoch was arrested for obtaining that money and not giving it to the Satterfield boys. Okay.
He has not yet entered a plea. But the crime that landed this family in national headlines, the murder of Murdoch's wife and son, remains unsolved.
Now you got to remember, this is a year ago. We do know now that he's been charged, convicted, and sentenced to 2 life sentences in the death of his wife and son. So this video is a year old, y'all.
So that's just one part of the Murdoch saga. I mean, you've got 5 bodies that can be attached, albeit in some cases loosely, can be attached to either Alec Murdoch directly or a member of his family over the last 6 years. And Gloria Satterfield's, unfortunately, Gloria Satterfield is just one of those.
And those 2 boys, their mother, when she passed, they were left alone.
And again, Alec Murdoch pulls one of them aside and says on the day of the funeral, hey, we've been family for so long, I'm going to take care of you. Well, they never got a dime. And then it's revealed a few weeks ago that not only was there insurance money, there was about...
So the truth is busy doing something, but I would like to ask the truth. Is it a possibility that the sons can sue?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
So is there a possibility that now that they know there was a settlement, the money was issued out, and Alec pretty much stole it? Is there a possibility that the sons can sue the estate for the money?
They can actually sue Alex Murdoch and their lawyer for the money.
Wow.
But the lawyer
who was their lawyer at the time, who was actually linked to Alex Murdoch previously.
It was his college roommate.
Yeah.
Remember he said, because he was telling them, hey, you can sue my you can sue my insurance company, not me. And you'll get some money. Here, I'll give you a name of somebody, and he gave them the name of
the attorney,
his friend.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time this was going on, he was talking to his friend through the whole case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yes, they can. But again, what are you going to get? There's like 8 people suing them now.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of money, but Alec Murdoch went through most of the money. Like honestly, it's really down to like nothing. All right, so y'all, it's like a few minutes left in this video. Let's listen.
$4.3 million worth of insurance.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, we'll have more tonight. It's a story with so many twists. We're going to bring you all of them, the latest on the investigation, and more of our exclusive interviews tonight during an all-new Dateline starting at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
I've been working really hard on that, and we'll be watching tonight.
So Monica asked, why was she? Because I think he would other people would ask him about, hey, you know anybody that could do this, or you know anybody that could do that, and I guess he told them call my yeah, and I think he was taking a cut of it, because why wouldn't they just pay her directly if they were doing the why are they paying him for him to go pick? Why did you pick up a check from him? People she did work for. So I think people are asking him, and he's sending her out to do things. But that's why I think she was there getting the
check from him.
But you got Mallory Beach. The other 3 guys that were on the boat with the 2 guys that were on the boat with them, they sued him for $50 million. Stephen Smith's family is probably looking to sue them for wrongful
See, they got
death.
the first, I think, with the Stephen Smith family, they got the first find a connection. I don't even think they have a absolute connection yet.
Yeah, they have no grounds for an unlawful death suit until it's proven that Buster was involved in it.
Right. And Buster does not have to be charged or convicted criminally in order for them to file a wrongful death, right?
Ask OJ.
Oh, right. Yeah. Prime, a good case. So the next video, y'all, we're going to get into is pretty much a synopsis before we get into the actual Murdoch family podcast videos about Miss Gloria. We're going to do a synopsis for the people that don't know much about what's going on with Miss Gloria. This video was dropped by another channel that I watch, I love. It's called Law and Crime. And it was dropped 1 month ago, okay? And it's entitled Mysterious Death of Alec Murdoch's Housekeeper Gloria Satterfield, Everything We Know. And this video was dropped a month ago. So this is sort of kind of like a synopsis of everything that's going on with this, okay? So, D-True, I'm going to probably let it play. I'm thinking I am, but if you want to stop me, and we'll talk, all right? Y'all be sure to hit the like button. Feel free to support the channel. Let's go.
Okay, Spanky.
So silly. Here we go.
What's going on out there?
It starts off with the 911 call from Maggie Murdoch. When Miss Gloria fell, y'all. So here we go.
What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Gloria Satterfield slips and falls at the Murdoch family's home and later dies. Questions surround the circumstances of her death after a massive insurance fraud. I'm Anjanette Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast, coming to you from the Colleton County Courthouse in Walterboro, South Carolina. This is where Alec Murdoch's murder trial is well underway. Gloria Satterfield was more than an employee to the Murdoch family. She was a friend and really a second mom to Buster and Paul. One day in February of 2018, Maggie Murdoch called 911, reporting that Gloria had slipped and fell.
What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up. Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head? Yeah. How old is she? I'm not sure, like 58 maybe. Do you know if she fell from standing or not? No. Where'd she fall from?
It behooves me that Maggie didn't know her age when she had been a housekeeper for years and more like a quote unquote family member that she didn't know her age. But that's just me.
To the boys.
Yeah.
That tells me, see, one of two things was happening with old Maggie there. Either Maggie was a heavy drinker.
What?
Or Maggie just did her own thing.
Well, actually, it's been said that actually Miss Gloria was the housekeeper to Alec and the boys, and Maggie had her own housekeeper. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, Buster had mentioned, and Paul too, that she had really raised him.
That's what I'm saying. If you got a housekeeper that has literally raised your sons and was so close to Paul, how could you not know her age? Like, did you not celebrate birthdays for her? Or, I mean, she's your employee. You should have her date of birth.
Monica just said she doesn't sound nervous or concerned. The 911 call, like, look, the old bitch fell down the stairs and she's bleeding, and I can't get the fat bitch up. Okay, can you send somebody out here to get this bitch off my front porch, please? She's bleeding.
That's not what that woman said. Now she may come off that way, but y'all see what I have to deal with if it ain't crazy as him. Y'all see what I have to deal with, right?
But Monica's right though. She just sound like, oh, damn, the bitch done fell off the damn. The old bitch done fell off the porch.
Oh God!
And she's bleeding all over my concrete. And she's the one that would clean it up. Who's going to clean this shit up?
Oh, my goodness. E-Brooks, don't agree. Don't agree, E-Brooks.
Yeah, like,
my God.
I think she's a little loopy. Just send somebody out here.
Yeah. No concern. She doesn't have any concern. I ain't going to lie in her voice. All right, y'all, let's listen.
She's still going up the steps, up the brick steps. Okay, so she outside or inside? Outside.
Wait a minute, she said going up.
She said going up, but they said that in the other video we watched that was talking about it. She fell going up the stairs. True.
Up the stairs.
Up the stairs.
Maybe. Well, she said she was like what, 68?
58.
58. That's 58. No.
That's 10 years older than me. I don't see myself falling up no stairs unless I'm drunk. Like drunk or
How do you die from falling up the stairs?
Well, I mean, you could fall if you fell up some concrete stairs. You could hit your head at an angle where it'll be a gash or something. So listen, I'm just going by what this woman said. She said she fell up the stairs.
And Maggie sounded disgusted, like, this dumb bitch. This dumb bitch done fell up the stairs.
I can't with you. Y'all please excuse the truth. Y'all know the truth. Y'all love.
No disrespect to the dead, but I'm just saying with Maggie. Maggie's like this dumb. Maybe she was arguing with her, but how do you push somebody?
Said Maggie pushed her. That's what I think.
Well, how do you push somebody up some stairs?
You can push somebody up some stairs if you behind them and they going up the stairs and you push them and they fall. You can push somebody up the stairs.
So when Gloria was like, "Give me my money, bitch. Where's my money at?" And she said, "Fuck you, bitch," and pushed her.
Oh God! Oh, the scenarios for me.
I'm just saying.
Damn it! Here we go, y'all.
How many steps is there? 8. Okay, is she on the ground or is she up near the top?
She's on the ground. She's on the ground. She's on the ground.
Is she conscious?
No, not really.
Now, Maggie Murdoch wasn't the only Murdoch family member to speak to 911 that day. Also, Paul got on the line and talked about what he was seeing.
No, she can't talk.
Now, this is Paul speaking to 911, y'all. Paul Murdoch.
Okay, do you know?
She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she's bleeding out of her left ear.
Okay, she's bleeding out of her ear?
And out of her head. She's cracked her skull.
Okay.
So wait,
all right.
That's a hard ass fall.
Wait, did Paul? Well, yeah, you had to strike your head pretty hard to bleed from your ear.
He said she was bleeding from her ear. This is what he said. He said she's bleeding from her ear and she cracked her skull and she's bleeding from her head.
Did she do like a flip in it?
I don't know.
Did she roll down the stairs? Was she?
I don't know.
I need a picture of this girl.
Ebro, I do deal with a lot. So what the next Cash App link needs to say is Truth Therapy Fund. Cash App. Truth Therapy Fund. It's a lot to deal with the Truth and Trey. Absolutely.
I will not be blamed for your psychotic.
Absolutely. Truth Therapy Fund ebooks dealing with the Truth and Moneyboy Trey. Thank you, baby.
So wait,
everybody know my pain.
Did Paul take the phone from his mother?
I don't. That's the thing.
Or did he call? Did he call a separate call?
Right.
Because if Paul be like, "Give me the phone, you dumb bitch," you act like she's bleeding from her head, and now she's bleeding from her ear.
You ain't explaining it right, Mama.
Yeah, you give me this. It's serious. She's bleeding from her head. It's all over the concrete. Somebody got to clean this shit up. And now
y'all listen. Okay, let me put the PSA out because I feel like I need to. We're not laughing at these deaths, okay? No, we're not.
We're laughing at the Murdochs and the way they handle shit. Because, did she roll down the stairs? And she now at the bottom of the steps after hitting the top steps, she rolled down the stairs. I mean, and where did Paul come from?
Where did Paul come from? Right? Because Maggie made that initial call.
Yes, and it was like, I guess it's like a minute or two, that.
So Farnberry says, how did he know that the skull was cracked? Because you can have a gash on your head, but that don't mean your skull is cracked. You know what I'm saying? So the chat is saying they pretty much think somebody whacked her over the head.
Yeah, but okay, they didn't do an autopsy. Interesting, because if you were to hit your head on some steps, the initial contact would be the shape of the steps. If you're hit with, say, a hammer or a stick or even a bat or anything like that, the impact will be different.
Different, right?
The bruise would be different.
It would, absolutely, not the same impact.
And the fact that there was no autopsy is surprising to me. Well, how did they know that she died from a brain hemorrhage?
Aneurysm, right?
Yeah.
I can only imagine that at the hospital they did tests. That's all I can say. I don't know. I would imagine at the hospital they did a scan, because if she had a head injury, of course they would do a scan.
Okay, but when she was asked what happened, she said, "I don't know what happened."
Well, okay, so you got to remember that when Maggie called, when Alec called, because Alec called as well, who supposedly wasn't around when it happened, but he said that Gloria woke up for a couple of seconds or minutes or whatever and told him that she tripped over the dogs. Well, when she got to the hospital, the staff at the hospital is saying that when they asked her, she said she didn't know how she felt. So you think this woman would know if she tripped over some dogs?
Or if Maggie pushed her.
Exactly.
Yeah, but again, amnesia is part of head trauma.
Yeah, it was a severe head trauma.
But again, how is she like 6'2"? Because that's a long drop to cause this much damage. If she's like 5'2", that ain't very far to fall.
And she said it, and then Maggie did state in the 911 call that it was only 8 steps. So
was she running up the steps? I mean, I'm just trying to picture in my head, if I'm walking up the steps and I fall, that isn't that much contact.
Because see, the first instinct if you fall going up some steps, you're gonna put your hands out. You're gonna put your hands out to stop your fall. To me, that's what I think will happen, but don't know, y'all. Let's listen.
She tried to stand up and fell down again. No, I was holding her up. Okay. She told me to turn loose and she was trying to use her arm, but then she fell back over. Okay, do you guys know who she is? Yeah, she works for
Now,
her.
if Gloria fell and she was hurt, and Paul tried to help her, why would she tell Paul to let her loose?
Because she wanted to whoop Maggie's ass. That's
Yeah,
why.
because
Let me come and whoop
it
this
could have been an altercation. Like she was probably mad. All right, let's listen.
Okay, do you know if she's ever had a stroke or anything before? Man, can you stop asking her? I already have them on the way. I already have them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down in any way. These are relevant questions that I have to ask for the ambulance. One of my questions is, has she ever had a stroke? I don't believe she's ever had a stroke now that I know that.
Gloria Satterfield was in the hospital for several weeks. She regained consciousness a few times, but we're told she would only say things like, I love you. She really couldn't say what had happened to her. She fell on February 2nd of 2018 and died about 3 weeks later. The Murdochs weren't the only people who knew Gloria Satterfield. Also, the law partner of Alec Murdoch spoke about her at the trial.
Do you know a person by the name of Gloria Satterfield? Or do you know of a person by the name of Gloria Satterfield?
No, I knew Gloria. I knew her for a lot of years.
And did she have any employment relationship with the defendant, to your knowledge?
Yes, she did. And when my children were first born, she helped my wife out a little bit with some laundry and stuff.
What, to your understanding, happened to her, if anything?
My understanding was that she was tripped by some of Alec and Maggie's dogs and hit her head, and approximately 3 weeks later, she died. I don't think she ever came out of the hospital.
Did you ever talk to the defendant about that event?
I recall.
This is testimony of one of Alec Murdoch's friends talking about the death of Miss Gloria. Listen, y'all.
Oh wait, now you notice he said, "Oh yeah, she helped me out when my children were first born."
Yeah, they pretty much contracted her out. Like she helped a lot of families.
They pimped her. They pimped her.
She helped a lot of the families. Yeah.
And he was a partner, right? He was a partner in the law firm. So they were probably like, "You must be overwhelmed. You know what? I'm gonna send my girl over, Gloria, to help you out. Just pay us and we'll pay her."
Probably wasn't paying her all the money either.
Brief conversation. It really wasn't a conversation. It was more him saying that the dogs knocked it down and that the kids were going to sue him for Gloria's death.
All right. The kids, which kids are you talking about?
Gloria's 2 boys, I believe she has.
Now this is the trial.
Did he say it in the fashion of that was?
This is his false pretense trial, which is pretty funny because that's what Paula Banks was arrested and tried and convicted of, false pretense. And false pretense is using falsifying documents to obtain money.
Wow.
Yeah, got 5 years in prison, the bitch. Oh, sorry.
Going to be an aggressive suit, or did he say in the way that he was going to help out?
Oh, I understood exactly that it was going to be a friendly insurance claim, so to speak, so that, hey, this happened in hopes that the insurance company would probably pay them some amount of money. I took it to help them out.
Did you ever have any other conversations with him about that case other than that one?
Never had another conversation. No, I've never had another conversation with him about it.
Gloria's son, Tony Satterfield, said that Alec Murdoch approached him with that offer to sue him. Tony Satterfield and his brother and other family members had gotten to know Alec Murdoch over time since Gloria had worked for the family for 20 years.
What was that conversation you had with the defendant at the funeral?
So this is one of her sons on the stand testifying now, y'all. This is one of her sons.
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna kind of take care of you boys and kind of,
He's going to do what? I'm sorry?
Take care of you boys.
Did he say how he was going to do that?
Partially, yes.
And what did he say?
He was gonna file a claim against his insurance company.
He's going to what?
File a claim against his insurance company.
His insurance company?
Yes.
Did he say how much coverage there was?
Like 505,000, I believe.
505,000?
Yes.
And did he say anything about how much money you may receive?
The goal was to get me and my brother Brian at least $100,000 apiece.
And did any other bills need to be taken care of?
The medical bills.
For who?
My mom.
When he told you that, did you agree to do that?
Yes.
That happened in 2018. Tony Satterfield said that he would occasionally call Alec Murdoch to check in on the status of the case, even sending him hospital bills because he needed help.
And tell the jury quickly what this is about. Can you see it on the screen? I can bring it back to you if you need.
Okay. So this is a cover sheet that I attached to the documents that I sent Alex.
And what kind of documents? Do you remember what kind they were?
One was a hospital bill and one was from the trailer company, I believe. I don't recall exactly what it was.
The trailer company for who?
My mom.
For your mom. And the hospital bill for who?
Yes, my mom.
And you sent these to him because they were relevant to the case?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you, as this case was developing, did you go and meet with the defendant at his office?
Yes.
Did he have any paperwork for you?
Yes.
Did he get you to sign some paperwork?
Yes.
Did you become the personal representative of your mom's estate?
I did.
And who gave you the paperwork to sign for that?
Alex.
When you signed that paperwork, were you aware that there had already been a
meeting?
Okay, leave your witness.
At some point in time, did Alex say he wanted to involve another lawyer?
Yes.
And who was that?
Corey Fleming.
And what did he tell you about that?
If I understood it correctly, I'm going to send you to Corey Fleming, my friend, because I can't do it again. Do the claim against myself because it'd be a conflict of interest. That's how I understood it.
And did you ultimately meet with Corey Fleming?
Yes.
How many times did you meet with him?
If I recall correctly, maybe once or twice.
Corey Fleming is a lawyer who is a friend of Alec Murdoch's. By this time, Alec Murdoch had recovered about $500,000 in insurance money and possibly more.
Did he ever tell you about a $505,000 settlement that already had occurred?
No.
Did the defendant ever tell you that he also had a $5 million umbrella policy?
No.
Did he ever tell you that there had been a recovery against that?
No.
Did he ever tell you that there had been a recovery for $3.8 million against that?
No.
Did he ever pay you one penny of $3.8 million?
No.
Just to clear this up, how often would you talk to the defendant?
3 to 4 times a year, sometimes I can't recall, every few months.
Would you talk by phone or would you talk by text or both?
Both.
And when you would talk to him, would you ask about the status of your case?
Yes.
And each time you talked to him, what did he say?
It was making progress.
Making progress. Did he say it was a hard case or not?
Yes.
Did he ever tell you about how much money he might be able to get for you?
The goal was to get $100,000 apiece for me and my brother.
At any time over the years,
hold up.
Tell you that there had already.
So the reason that he kept saying 100,000 for you, 100,000 from your brother, is because he initially told him that there is a $505,000 gap, meaning they can only pay up to $500,000. That would be the max. So he's already informed the two brothers that the most you could get is $505,000, but it's going to be a settlement, so it'll probably be less. So we're shooting for $100,000 each for you, right?
Yeah.
He never told them about the $5 million umbrella policy, which would go alongside the other suit.
Yep.
So he's already set them up to only think that 100,000 is what they're getting.
It's the most they can get.
Yeah. The dumb part is they never gave them the 100,000. If he had given him the 100,000 apiece, I don't think it would have been a conversation. They would have been like, "Gee, thanks," because they don't sound too smart. To begin with. I'm just saying that they picked the right one. Because first thing, why would you allow the man that you're suing to tell you to go to this lawyer?
Right.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Been a recovery in the case?
No.
At any time over the years, did he mention anything about having a $5 million umbrella policy?
No.
At any time, did he ever pay you one penny?
No.
The umbrella policy that Alec Murdoch had also came up in testimony about the boat case, where Paul Murdoch was criminally charged with boating while intoxicated and causing Mallory Beach's death. The attorney for Mallory's family in the civil lawsuit talked about what he found out about that policy.
Did you ever find out if the defendant had an umbrella policy or the status of that policy?
There was no coverage for this boat crash other than with Progressive on the boat.
Did the defendant have an umbrella policy at one time, to your review?
He had coverage. He had the coverage with Lloyd's of London and Nautilus immediately before, which was the coverage that was in effect when Gloria Satterfield fell at his house. And he had an umbrella policy there.
All right. And what happened to that policy, that coverage?
The policy came up for renewal. You know, normally they're a year. It comes up for renewal and this claim's still open. And so when it came up for renewal, the insurance company wouldn't renew the policy and they canceled it, which is why he then went and bought this hunting club operation or hunting for hire operation, whatever that policy was, but didn't really cover anything because he didn't have that kind of business.
In your assessment and judgment, would that Philadelphia Hunting Lodge policy provide any coverage for the boating accident?
It did not. I told Danny Henderson in November of 2019 that it did not. Philadelphia filed something called a declaratory judgment action where they go and ask the court to declare their rights, meaning we don't have any coverage. It's clear the policy doesn't apply. Judge, tell, in this case, the plaintiff, because they sued us, the Beach family, and they sued Alex Murdoch and to for a declaration there was no coverage. I refused to participate. I said I would just be bound by whatever the result was because I knew what the result was going to be.
Of course, nobody knows what happened to that money from the umbrella policy, the $4.2 million that Alec Murdoch got for Gloria Satterfield's death. We do know that he no longer had that umbrella policy at the time of the boat crash, so it was going to be difficult to meet the demands of the attorney for the Beach family. Mark Tinsley had told Alec Murdoch he could settle the suit for $10 million. This is what a forensic accountant testified to regarding Murdoch's finances at the time of the murders of Maggie and Paul.
In the course of your analysis, did you have an opportunity to look at Mr. Murdoch's balances on or about June 7th, 2021?
I did.
And did you look at his balances on all of his deposit accounts?
I did.
And did you look at his balances on all of his outstanding loans and lines of credit?
Yes, all that I've identified, I've reviewed them, yes.
In your opinion, Mr. Burney, on June 7th, 2021, across Mr. Murdoch's deposit accounts and demand lines of credit, did Richard Alexander Murdoch have $792,000 available to return to Chris Wilson?
He did not.
On that same date, June 7th, 2021, across his deposit accounts and his demand lines of credit, did Richard Alexander Murdoch have $500,000 available to give to the sons of Gloria Satterfield?
He did not.
On June 7th, 2021, did Richard Alexander Murdoch have, across his deposit accounts and his lines of credit, did he have $10 million available to meet the settlement demands of Mark Tinsley?
He did not have $10 million.
After the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdoch, the coroner asked that the investigation into Gloria Satterfield's death be opened. So SLED opened an investigation since her death was ruled natural and not an accident. There have been plans to exhume Gloria Satterfield's body, but to date, that hasn't happened. It's important to note that the Satterfield family does not believe that their mother was murdered. Joining me to discuss the Gloria Satterfield's case is Eric Bland. He's an attorney and co-founder of the law firm Bland Richter, and he represents the family sons of Gloria Satterfield. So Eric, welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming back.
Good afternoon, Anjanette. Thanks for having me on.
Truth, you there?
Well, thanks for coming back on. Tell us a little bit about a very sad anniversary. We just marked the anniversary of Gloria's passing after the slip and fall accident when she had been in the hospital for several weeks.
Yeah, the 5th anniversary. It was a bittersweet day for the family yesterday. Each anniversary of the death is tough on them, but they feel like over the past year that so much has been accomplished with the establishment of the foundation in Gloria's name, and with Alex coming to justice, they feel like that, the sweetness of it is seeing Tony, take over the mantle of the family and testifying on Gloria's behalf in front of the entire world, which was not the easiest thing in the world to do. So from that standpoint, there's so much good that has come from her death that she just didn't die in vain. There's been some growth. So the family, is very religious, and so they think it was by divine hand that this happened.
We already recalled earlier in the podcast, we heard from Tony, we played some of the clips from his testimony and really told the story. But how painful was this for Tony and his brother and, his aunts and uncles when they're sitting there?
I'm back, y'all. I walked away. What happened?
Yes, you did walk away. So did you hear any of that, or you didn't hear it?
Yeah, I was listening. I was just in the next room. So what you guys say about it?
So let me. Okay, so here's what an umbrella policy is.
Go
just
ahead.
in case someone doesn't know. An umbrella insurance is extra insurance that provides protection beyond existing limits and coverage of other policies. Umbrella insurance can provide a coverage for injuries, property damage, certain lawsuits, and personal liability situations. So he had this coverage on his home.
Right.
So if Gloria's children had sued him for his mother's death, he would be able to cover it with the umbrella policy.
Yeah, they say now, from what I've been told, they say with house insurance, like if you have a mortgage and things of that nature, it's good to get an umbrella in policy.
If you have a homeowner's policy,
right?
Meaning if someone trips and falls on your front porch, or like she did, but there's a maximum that you cannot exceed.
Oh yeah.
But if you have an umbrella policy, this will cover past that if they're asking for more, because the insurance company is only going to pay up to $505,000. Anything past that, he would be liable for. That's why he put this on. Now, I don't think,
but he knew what See, this is the thing. He knew what his policies were when he suggested that. That's why he left out the other policy.
So he can
Uh-huh.
pocket the money as if it
Yeah.
was them doing it. But here's the thing: he's an opportunist.
Very.
I don't think they killed Gloria. I think she just may be a clumsy person, or maybe the dogs did do it, or she just fell down the stairs.
Really? So you don't think that had anything to do with it?
I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't sound like it. I mean, yeah, she was nonchalant about it. Yeah, the bitch fell. Can you send the ambulance, please? But still, it was kind of. I don't see how they could have or why they would have.
Mm-hmm.
Now I see Alex seizing the opportunity.
Okay. Okay. But even you said the truth that you felt like a fall up the stairs was kind of suspect.
It's just strange that you fall up the stairs and then the fact that yes, she died of natural causes, but you're leaving out the fact that she was put in the hospital for a head trauma.
Yeah, well, I mean, she hit her head, or something hit her head.
Yes, but they're saying natural causes.
That aneurysm. Now, listen, aneurysm, which is what they said she passed from, it could be natural.
Well, the hemorrhage. So
Yeah,
somewhere,
it could be. It could happen without a hit to the head, but it's also caused by you being hit in the head.
Yes, but it has to be associated to. She was in the hospital for head trauma.
Yeah,
and the fact that her two dumbass sons are like, it was divine intervention that my mama died. Now I'm speaking up like I'm a man. What the
Okay. So now you're saying that possibly you believe that it could have been what they say it was, and not somebody pushed her or hit her or whatever.
It's just weird that
it is weird. I ain't gonna lie, it's weird.
Never really investigated that there wasn't.
That's okay, because they finna investigate it now.
yeah, but it's over now. I mean, again, you're exhuming bones now.
But they still could find out what really happened, Detroit.
They would have seen that bruise on her head is more than maybe a fat woman falling on some stairs.
Oh God. Okay.
And then, but did you hear the sons? Some good came out of it. Now my brother.
I'm gonna go back to what you said about the sons. Now you did say they didn't sound, to be the smartest, the sharpest knife in the drawer. But if you look at them, if you got visuals, you would know.
That's what I'm doing. My country accent. I'm the mama died divine intervention. God stepped in. Mama, look at me. I'm standing up speaking for myself. Big podunk asshole. So you're speaking out, and God gave you the will to speak out now.
Yes.
You should have said, "Where's my $100,000 at?" That's what you should have said.
Well, I'm in 3 years for a settlement, an insurance settlement. Now I've gotten a couple of insurance settlements, and they don't take no 3 years. They don't take 3 years. I'm just saying. But they trusted Alec. They trusted him.
Yeah, and he knew that too. He said,
he knew that. He took advantage.
These dumbass inbreeds. I'm about to take them for everything they got.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. Oh Lord. Okay. Y'all please hit the like. Let me see what my lights looking like. Cause this man right here. It calls for good commentary, but he's just crazy as hell. That family was so corrupt. I don't put me neither, Miss K. Me neither, sweetie. All right, so let's listen. It's 16 minutes in. It's 25 minutes. I really want to get through most of this. I'm probably gonna end at 3 hours, but so we can start the podcast video. So here we go, y'all. Thank you, Z True, for being up here. I don't know what the fuck. Trey! He probably asleep, y'all. Y'all know that, right? Like, he's probably asleep. I'm gonna call his ass.
thinking this money is coming and they're just waiting and they're waiting, and Tony and his brother gets evicted from the mobile home. Talk to me about the pain of that for this family when they then discovered they had been betrayed.
I think the pain was more from the siblings.
Y'all hit the like button and feel free to hit the cash out. Thank you.
Gloria and Ginger and Eric and Tony. I think Brian and Tony, Scott, I'm saying, the siblings of Gloria. Tony and Brian, I don't think really thought so much of the lawsuit. They, they struggle with everyday life of trying to make a living, and they had no idea about the legal process on how long it would take. So for them, it really wasn't something that they were thinking about. But the siblings, Scott, Eric, and Ginger, thought about it a lot. And it really was distressing for them last Thursday and Friday when Alex was testifying. He never apologized to the Satterfields properly in that trial. He didn't apologize to any of his victims. He never used the word apologize. He said, I did them wrong, and I lied from them, and I stole from some of them. Some I stole from but didn't directly lie, which, when you steal, you lie. I mean, it's overt, it's covert.
They say you steal, you lie, you steal, and you kill. All right, just remember that, okay? Yeah, that's what they say.
A lot of choice words, I think, that were intentionally chosen by him. But there was a little point in that cross-examination where I felt the family thought that Creighton should have gone a little bit deeper with Gloria in terms of she was a part of your family. It's one thing, these other clients that you stole from, yes, they're your clients, but this was a family member that you stole $3.5 million from. He could have, I think Mr. Wooders could have personalized it a little bit more on Gloria's case, as opposed to grouping her in with just other clients.
I was surprised at how he kind of glossed over Gloria. It was a couple of minutes, and there was no discussion about that. Also, there's been a lot of rumors that maybe Gloria had found some pills at one point and told Paul, the little detective. Do you know that to be true at all?
I do not. I learned about it when I watched the Netflix series that I was in. And surprisingly, I heard that Paul had found some pills, or not Paul, or maybe Gloria found some pills that belonged to Alex.
Wow.
I just don't think that there would be any possibility that Paul would have murdered Gloria. He loved that woman. I know that. The family knows that. He expressed that love not only to Tony and Brian and to Gloria herself, but you heard it from the boat victims themselves. Some of his friends who were in the boat victim, they said he loved her dearly. So I don't believe at all that Paul could have ever done anything to harm her.
Yeah, and she was like a second mom, it sounded like, to Paul, at least. Probably to Buster, too, but Paul, it sounded like, really loved her. And I want to touch on that because SLED reopened the investigation into her death after all of this started. And, what's the status of that? Because there's been discussion about exhuming her body. We know that they've just said they're investigating.
I don't think that, truthfully, Anjanette, I don't think there's any investigation. I think that the announcing of opening an investigation in the Gloria's death, as well as the announcement and opening in the Stephen Smith's death, was a way to bring more pressure on Alex, to let him know that the world's possibly is closing in on him. But SLED has been laser-like focused on this murder case for the better part of the last 8 months, and certainly, I think regardless of what this jury verdict is going to be, they're going to start setting these trials for the financial crimes in sequence, like every month.
I don't know. I kind of got a feeling that SLED, the South Carolina, what is it? The fucking South, what is it? The law enforcement, South Carolina, something enforcement or whatever. I think at this point, to me, honestly, like they just as slow as everybody else at this point. I'm sorry. Like it's taking them too long to even investigate, and they're supposed to be like the upper level. I don't understand why these investigations are taking so long. Now, Stephen passed away 8 years ago. Miss Gloria passed away not too much longer after. They've already had charged, convicted.
It's the South Carolina
for Paul and Maggie, but these cases are still ongoing. Like, to me, honestly,
it's called South Carolina Law Enforcement Division.
Yeah, that's what it is. But I'm still saying they kind of slow too.
Yeah, but again, this all could have been leverage to get Alex to plead.
But why wait? Listen, D-True, this is where my frustration comes in, right? Why wait till this man is on trial for the murder of his wife and son to open these investigations when these people, their lives matter too? I mean, it's like, okay, Maggie and Paul's lives matter, but when it came to Stephen and Gloria, it was like, okay, they're dead. Okay, so da. Like, their lives matter too. Why did it take for this man to be on trial for Maggie and Paul for them to reopen the cases on these other two people?
Well, they like to pile on.
I get that, but to me, still, that's not fair. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, but again, these investigations went nowhere. Stevens' investigation was hindered from the start, went nowhere.
Yeah,
they're just hoping by opening these cases, someone will come forward.
And apparently, someone has, because
someone would. If you open the cases and tell everybody, we open the investigation. One, it forces Alex to say, "Oh shit, somebody gonna come forward. I might as well go ahead and blurt it out now and see what deal I can get."
Yeah, I think with him being locked up, some people may have come forward or will come forward with him being locked up. Because I think he was the monster. I actually think he was the monster of the family.
Well, the people come forward. He may say some things he don't want to say in his defense. So you open up things, for a lot of things. I mean, there's, 20 serial killers on death row right now. And the only way that they save themselves from being executed is they keep saying, well, let me tell you about this person.
Yeah, bringing up new bodies.
Ran across in 1987.
Yeah.
Tell you where they're at. And okay, all right, well,
I get it.
I'll give you another, give you a 2-year stay, and they come 2 years later. Let me tell you about someone in 1993. I can tell you where they're at. It's just, and they're hoping that he's going to plead for his life to get a lesser sentence, and by spilling the beans. And remember, everybody is their quality of work is rated by the cases they close. So in order to get another case closed, they may make a deal on the original case. And then they close 2 cases, which make them look better.
I got you. All right, yeah, it's like 5 minutes left in this video. Then we're going to spend the remaining time, which is like 45 minutes, getting into the whole Murdoch Murders podcast. Okay, so let's listen to this last 5 minutes. And this is basically court coverage, y'all.
Based on him admitting under oath that he stole the money from Badger, that he stole it from Gloria, that he stole it from Officer Moore, that he stole it from the Pickneys. I think they're going to just load him up and load Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin up with trials. Unless he's willing to plead straight up, I don't see a big deal coming his way. Now, there could be a deal if he's found guilty. They may, at that point, because he's going to get 32 life by Judge Newman, and I would think he would get life for a double murder, given that he forced the state to go to trial on these cases. But let's say there's a hung jury. I think they're going to make a decision that they're going to stay the retrial of the murder case until they get the convictions of the financial crimes, and then they'll reassess. Usually when there's a hung jury on a case, the prosecutor walks right out of the trial, goes to the courthouse steps and says to the media like you, we're going to set this for trial in 60 days and we're going to come back and do it all over again to put that pressure on the defense. Remember, Harpootlian only has a finite amount of money for legal fees and experts. And the state knows if you have to go retry it, he's not doing this for free. And oftentimes we see, Anjanette, and you know that, if there is a retrial on a hung jury case, it could be a whole new defense team. You find that all new lawyers come in. So I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a loading up on him of the financial crimes, and then the state will take stock on, do they retry the murder case? And for me, I think a hung jury is almost a victory. Look, the state took on a citadel here in the Murdochs, and they took them to task, and they bruised this family significantly. They'll never be under the seat of power again. Now, a not guilty verdict would be deadly for the state. It would be devastating for the state. But after hearing the Murdoch witnesses testify, so much damage has been done to our state law enforcement agency, SLED, that I think it's going to be felt for many, many years to come. It not only was damaged in this case, but I think it did some damage on cases that'll come down the pike. I thought there was some unnecessary cuts at SLED, because SLED didn't take over this investigation until essentially August of 2021. It was possessed by the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office, where Mr. Murdoch, Randy Murdoch, was a solicitor, and his father and his father. And Duffy Stone held on to this investigation for 3 months. So if you want to criticize what was or wasn't done, then go lay it at Duffy Stone's doorstep. Don't lay it at SLED.
Well, Eric Bland, any final thoughts on Gloria Satterfield and, her legacy?
Coming full circle, I think that she died for a purpose, and that purpose was to out Alex Murdoch and all of his financial thefts. I'm not going to, notice I'm not using the word, I did them wrong. He stole from them. He lied to them. He wasn't mistaken. He lied and he stole. And he did it to not only Gloria, but clients that trusted him. And Antonetti did so much damage to our legal profession, a profession that I love. Again, that's going to be another scarring that takes place in our state.
Well, Eric Bland, thanks so much. Attorney for the family of Gloria Satterfield and co-founder of Bland Richter. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and I'll see you this week.
That's it on that, y'all. So what you guys say, the truth?
There's way more victims than you'll ever hear about.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Way more victims. But someone asked earlier, why did he kill Maggie and Paul? It could have been insurance. It could have been it could have been to get the heat off of him, that someone's trying to kill him, blah, blah, blah. It could have been, you're never going to know, because he's never going to tell, because he says he's innocent.
Still saying it.
And as long as you proclaim innocence, you will never, ever give a reason or a motive.
Right. I think, well, we'll get into that when we get into their murders. But so for right now, y'all, for the next maybe 30 minutes, we're going to get into the podcast that we've been following, the Murdoch Murders podcast. If one of my moms can drop that link in the chat so y'all can check this channel out. And the top, now this podcast was done 9 months ago, and it's entitled "What Happened to Gloria Satterfield, Part 1." Okay.
All right, I got to step away for a little bit, but I'll try to get you back.
Okay. Thank you, D. True. I appreciate it.
All right.
I appreciate you. All right. So here we go, y'all. Hey, Leah. In the bushes. Okay. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, E. Brooks. Y'all, please continue to hit the like button if you don't mind, and also feel free to hit the Cash App and support the channel. Here we go, y'all.
I don't know if anyone killed Gloria Satterfield, but I've learned a lot recently about what happened in the aftermath of her death. And I'm disturbed and disgusted by what I'm hearing that Alec Murdoch allegedly did to her family who deserved the money in her settlement. My name is Mandy Matney, and I've been investigating the Murdoch family for more than 2.5 years now. And this is the Murdoch Murders Podcast. So I mean it when I say that the last few weeks have been the strangest, busiest time of my entire life. And I'm not saying that to get any sort of sympathy or whatever. I'm just being straight with you. The last few weeks have been hard. And I say that because I know what it would be like if I was another journalist following somebody like me on this case and wondering, how is she doing all these things? And what I'm doing is not healthy. What I'm doing is not sustainable. Being a breaking news reporter and an investigative reporter and a podcaster all at the same time is absolutely exhausting. And this case is extremely emotionally taxing. And it's okay to talk about these things. I will talk about these things. Being open about what's going on with your mental health is something that I will always advocate for. I wanted to start out this episode and say thank you to everyone who has supported us in the last few weeks. To those who defended me, to the trolls on Twitter, those who gave us a 5-star review and shared the podcast, those who sent flowers and messages of encouragement, those who bought me so many mimosas on buymeacoffee.com. Those who helped make this podcast the #1 podcast on Apple and Amazon, which is absolutely insane, by the way. These last few weeks have been tough, I won't lie, but every little bit has given me the fuel to keep going when parts of me wanted to stop. So thank you. So much has gone down in the last 2 weeks with the unraveling of Alec Murdoch. But we want to focus this episode on Gloria Satterfield because she deserves the spotlight, and people need to know what happened to her and her family. I first reported about the Gloria Satterfield settlement in 2019 as I was investigating the deaths of Mallory Beach and Stephen Smith. Several of my sources in Hampton County made comments along the lines of, "But did you hear about the housekeeper?" There were rumors that the Murdochs were involved in the death of their housekeeper. I'll be honest, it sounded like an insane rumor that to me was just too weird to be true. Then one day I was looking through court records and found a $500,000 wrongful death settlement for Gloria Satterfield, where Alec Murdoch was listed as the only defendant. Gloria Satterfield was the Murdoch's housekeeper and nanny for more than 2 decades. I found that this settlement was odd for a couple of reasons. And again, this was way back in 2019. Alec Murdoch's best friend, Corey Fleming, was the lawyer representing the Satterfield family, which would be Corey suing his best friend. Remember Corey?
So Corey Fleming was Alec Murdoch's best friend, the lawyer that handled this case. So he wasn't just a classmate or da-da-da. He was a best friend. Okay, y'all?
Fleming, he's the attorney who's connected to all 3 of these death investigations. Gloria Satterfield, Stephen Smith, and Mallory Beach.
Wow.
In the Stephen Smith case, his client, Patrick Wilson, was suspiciously injected into the investigation. And in the 2019 boat crash, Alec allegedly told Connor Cook essentially the same thing he told the Satterfield sons, that Corey Fleming would have his back, that he would be a good lawyer who could be trusted. Now, Connor Cook is suing Fleming and Alec Murdoch for essentially conspiring to frame him in the boat crash investigation. We will get into all of that in another episode. So the Corey Fleming part of that is weird, but all of this gets so much weirder. Another thing was neither one of Gloria Satterfield's sons were named as personal representatives of her estate, which again, I thought was weird. The third thing, which a lot of lawyers told me, was the settlement seemed very low. For somebody admitting to wrongful death on their property and only getting $500,000 seemed weird to a lot of people. Later, I realized that Judge Perry Buckner was a well-known friend of the Murdoch family who also recused himself from the boat crash just a few months after this approved the settlement. I wrote about the settlement when I worked for another local newspaper back in 2019, and I believe I wrote about it again in 2020, and then I wrote about it again after the double homicide of Maggie and Paul Murdoch when I was the first reporter to connect the 3 mysterious deaths to the Murdoch family. Now we'll fast forward to last week, September 14th, 2021. Attorney Eric Bland first told me that he was representing Gloria Satterfield's 2 sons who say they never received any settlement money. So when I wrote the story last week, the only public document associated with this case stated that Alec Murdoch's insurance provider agreed to a petition for $505,000 for personal liability in Satterfield's wrongful death. In this clip where I'm talking to Eric Bland, I'm typing because, again, I'm a journalist before I'm a podcaster, and I can't help but take notes.
She was the housekeeper there for, almost 25 years, very close to the family, raised the kids. Any settlement that may have existed, the boys maintain that they have not received any distribution from any settlement proceeds. Our goal is to get answers for them and to make sure that people who have, represented them and owed fiduciary duties to them have done what they're supposed to do for these boys. That's our goal.
Eric Bland said that the family was told Satterfield tripped on the steps of the Murdochs' former home on Holly Street in Hampton, South Carolina in February 2018. They were told that the Murdochs' dogs caused her to trip, causing a fall which resulted in her sustaining a traumatic brain injury. It is not known if any member of the Murdoch family called 911 after the incident, nor is it clear how Satterfield was transported to the hospital, where she stayed for several weeks before she died on February 26, 2018.
This woman worked for the Murdoch household for 25 years. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks after apparently the dog, caused her to fall down the stairs and have a closed head traumatic brain injury. The family's a little bit disappointed because there wasn't a lot of visitation from the family when she was in the hospital. Only the mother visited, not the boys who she raised. The Murdochs didn't pay for her funeral, which is, it just tells me a lot about them as a family.
Gloria's obituary noted that she loved Alec, Maggie, and Alec's parents, Randolph and Libby Murdoch, as family, although we don't know who wrote her obituary. So after I wrote that story, things started developing in this case very rapidly. And here's why. Again, this is Eric Bland talking to me on the phone.
Lawyers are coming clean. Different lawyers are coming clean. And, because there's this intense sunlight scrutiny on this case, everybody's being cautious not to do lawyer spin or obfuscate.
But the truth ended up being very ugly. We immediately started receiving texts from sources that said that the Satterfield settlement was much, much higher, in the millions. It appeared that a lot of lawyers knew about that, and no one said anything until this dismantling of the good old boy system started to take place. The next day, September 15th, 2021, Eric Bland and his law partner, Ronald Richter, filed a lawsuit alleging civil conspiracy and stolen funds in connections with the 2018 Gloria Satterfield settlement. The lawsuit was filed against Alec Murdoch, Corey Fleming, and others involved in the settlement, including Fleming's law firm Moss, Kuhn, and Fleming, Chad Westendorf, who was the banker listed as the representative of Satterfield's estate in the Palmetto State Bank, which is a financial institution where Westendorf worked. The lawsuit revealed further details in this alleged conspiracy to steal money from Gloria's family. Hours after the lawsuit was filed in this case, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which is also known as SLED, the same agency investigating the double homicide of Maggie and Paul Murdoch and the Stephen Smith case, confirmed they were opening an investigation into the death of Gloria Satterfield. That is a big deal. SLED not only opened an investigation into her death, but also possible financial crimes related to her wrongful death settlement. SLED officials said they opened the investigation based on information gathered during the course of other investigations involving Alec Murdoch.
So Scorpio said, I wonder why everyone involved in this insurance fraud hasn't been criminally charged. Alec isn't the only one. I feel the same way, Scorpio. I feel the same way, and that's what I was trying to tell the truth as far as, what he said about that wanting to pile up charges against Alec, which I get, but like you say, others that were involved, like the Fleming guy, he had to be involved, the attorney. You know what? Maybe they're talking. I don't know, but I feel like it's other people that should be charged as well. And I feel like if Alec Murdoch had not murdered his wife and son, that these cases wouldn't even be reopened. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, their life meant something, so we did what we needed to do to get justice for them. But okay, in the midst of that, then okay, we'll open these cases back up, which should have been investigated years ago. Like, honestly. All right, y'all. I agree, Scorpio. I agree.
Things about this that were shocking. The Hampton County coroner said that Satterfield's death was not reported to the other Hampton County coroner at the time, nor did officials perform an autopsy. And another thing, on Satterfield's death certificate, the manner of death said natural, which does not line up with the story that she fell. The manner of death would be accident. Again, Gloria's family was told that she died in a trip and fall incident on the front steps of the Murdoch home. A few days after the lawsuit was filed and SLED opened up their investigation into Satterfield's death, attorney Eric Bland received shocking information in the Gloria Satterfield settlement. I'm going to go ahead and let him explain most of this.
So, Gloria dies February 26, 2018, after falling February 2nd, 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the funeral, Alex says to the aunts, uncles, and the kids, I'm going to take you to go see a lawyer. And that lawyer I know is going to bring a claim against me because I am going to admit that I was negligent, responsible for your mother's death because my dogs tripped her and she fell down the stairs. And he's going to bring a wrongful death claim, and I'm going to turn it over to my insurance carriers. And then I'm going to tell them I'm at fault, and they're going to pay money, and you guys are going to make money. In fact, you guys are going to get money as a result of your mother's death. But you can't tell anybody that I'm kind of organizing this because I can get in trouble. So he takes them to Corey Fleming. He doesn't tell them that Corey's the kids, that he's Paul's godfather, that they were college roommates, best friends, and that they work together. Corey signs them up and names Tony as the PR.
So a PR is a personal representative. That is the person that is in charge of an estate. Okay, we are now in December 2018 in the Gloria Satterfield case. Here is Eric Bland.
Brian renounces his right to be a PR because he's a vulnerable adult. Okay? So Tony is the personal representative of the estate, which means Corey Fleming represents the personal representative of the estate. He doesn't represent the heirs. He represents the personal representative of the estate. And so they make a claim against Alex. They didn't file a lawsuit. They make a demand. You write a demand letter and you say, look, Alex, you caused this, yada, yada. He turns it over to the insurance companies. And he's telling the insurance companies, I am at fault. Yeah. Which really puts the insurance companies in a tough spot, because ordinarily, just because somebody dies at your house doesn't mean you're automatically liable. I mean, I could be at your house, Mandy, and trip over my feet coming down your stairs, and it's my fault if I hit my head and I die. But because he was admitting fault, admitting that he was responsible, the insurance companies knew that if Corey Fleming actually filed a lawsuit and Alex was to go into a court in Hampton County where he's loved and say, this is my fault, the jury would liable to return a big verdict. But Corey is not telling Tony what's going on. Tony's just a normal late 20s guy that works for a hospital and like delivery. And so around December, when that petition for $505,000 was filed with the court, Corey calls up Tony on like December 13th and says, you know what? I don't think you should be the PR anymore. There's going to be a lot of business issues in this case as it progresses, and I think it's better suited that there be a bank officer that I know to be the PR. So, of course, Tony, who trusts Corey, says, okay, if that's what you think. And so they name, Tony renounces his right to be a PR, and they name Chad Westendorf in the bank, Powell State Bank. And by doing that now, Corey's duty is to Chad Westendorf. He no longer has to communicate and can communicate with my clients because they aren't his clients. It's the personal representative of the estate.
So basically, Fleming convinced Gloria's sons that they needed to have a banker work as their personal representative of their mother's estate. He's saying here that Fleming and Murdoch did this in their scheme so that Fleming would only be legally obligated to communicate with Westendorf. They did not have to tell Gloria's sons about what was happening with the settlement money.
Wow.
And so on December 18th, Westendorf was approved to be the PR. The very next day, on December 19th, they filed that petition for a $505,000 settlement. My clients were never aware of that.
So as soon as the Satterfield boys were no longer entitled to communications with Corey Fleming, his petition for a $505,000 settlement was filed. Who was the judge involved in all of this? That would be South Carolina Circuit Judge Perry Buckner, who recused himself from the 2019 boat crash just months later because of his ties to the Murdoch family.
2 months goes by.
So listen, not only did this dude Murdoch in this whole insurance scheme or whatever you want to call it, and not only is he involved, he got his best friend involved who's a lawyer. He got another dude involved that that he's connected to, and the judge who signed off on the damn agreement. All of them are connected. Y'all see how deep this runs? Child.
It happened in February of 2019.
Let me be clear here. The 2019 fatal boat crash that killed Mallory Beach changed everything about the Murdoch family. They were able to do things under the table and under the radar before the boating accident, which pushed them into the media spotlight.
In March, they have a mediation, and they settle with a mediator from Charleston named John Austin. All the insurance carriers, Nautical and Lloyd's of London, and they were represented by John Grantland and Scott Wellinger, and Corey's representing the estate, and obviously Alex is a defendant.
So basically, when they appointed that PR person who was communicating with the insurance company, that PR person was reporting back to the lawyer who did in turn. See, they wasn't doing any communications with the sons. So the sons didn't know about any negotiations, and pretty much a settlement was reached without the sons even know what's going on. See, that's why you have to be very careful.
And they go before the mediator and they compromise or whatever, and they agree. The total claims are going to settle for $4,305,000.
So are you following this? That is a big deal.
The money is going to be paid to the PR, to Chad West.
Now, the $4 million claim is going to be paid to the PR, who is one of Alex Murdoch's buddies. Listen, y'all.
Westendorf. It's not going to be paid to Corey Fleming, the lawyer. The check is going to be made out to the personal representative of the estate of Gloria Satterfield.
But here is where it gets weird and complicated.
He requested that they change the court caption without court approval to take his name off it. The next thing you look on at that petition is there's no court term number. There's no live case.
Oh my God.
There's no 2020 CP 40-0312.
Oh my. Yeah, I've never seen that.
The next thing you look at on that petition is it's not filed. It's signed by Chad Westendorf, but it's not filed with the court.
Okay, so this is really weird. I have seen hundreds of settlements and lawsuits and all sorts of court documents in South Carolina, but I've never seen this. It appears that Alec convinced the court to take his name off of the settlement, which is a luxury that most South Carolina citizens do not have when they admit fault in a wrongful death of another human being. But what's interesting about this is that his name was taken off the books right around the time of the fatal boat crash when he was in the spotlight. So another thing about this that is so crazy is there's no docket number. I have never seen a case like this with no docket number. And also every other case in South Carolina that is processed with the court has numbers and basically a stamp of approval running down the side. It says the county that it's processing, it says the date, etc., and that's not here. So you can hear me as Eric is explaining what's going on with these documents, how shocked I am, because it is absolutely shocking. And I've talked to over a dozen lawyers who've looked at this, and they're all very shocked that this actually came through.
Judge Mullen cannot hear a settlement proposal unless there's a motion or petition before her. Because when she comes on the bench, the first thing she's going to say is, or if she's in chambers, and there should be a court reporter there, is, what is before me? And somebody's going to say, well, we have a petition for you to approve settlement. And she's going to open up the court file and she's going to say, there's nothing filed here. I can't hear a motion that isn't filed. Nonetheless, she goes forward and hears the motion.
So around the same time that Judge Carmen Mullen signed the secret settlement, she also recused herself from the boat crash due to her long-standing relationship with the Murdoch family. So are you hearing this right? The two judges who recused themselves from one Murdoch case, which was the boat crash, appear to be involved in this one during the same time period. Perhaps that's because Gloria's case did not get media attention at the time.
She then signs an order. That's the third document I sent you.
Okay.
When you look at that order, the first thing you should say to yourself is, it's a different caption. The second thing you say to yourself is, what's the court term? How would this be filed when there's no number? The third thing you say to yourself is, it wasn't filed. The fourth thing you say to yourself is, I'm going to look at that last page, the settlement disbursement sheet, and you see it's signed by Chad Westendorf. And Judge That was given to Judge Mullen for her to approve that order. And that disbursement sheet shows there's $4,305,000 of money coming in. It shows the attorney's fees going out of $1.45 million.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that should catch your eye is there's $105,000 even, not 105.13, but $105,000 even of, quote, prosecution expenses.
Expenses.
What the hell does that mean?
What the hell is? Wait a minute. What the hell? Prosecution expenses. Oh, y'all.
$105,000 worth of lawyer expenses when there's not a lawsuit or a trial over a period of about a few months is absolutely shocking. And from what I know, investigating lots and lots of expenses in the government, et cetera, when anything ends in 0000, it's immediately sketchy. In an expense report, if something ever ends in 0000, then it means that you're not keeping track of your books.
Mm-hmm.
This case, there wasn't a lawsuit. What expenses were there?
Yeah, they done conjured up some charges. They done conjured up some charges to make some payment. Lord, I hope y'all following this. I just see this is I watch this type of stuff all the time, y'all. That's why I'm so intrigued. But I hope y'all enjoying it as well. But this right here, this child, it's the it's the stealing and the scams for me.
There was going to be a professional PR fee paid to Chad Westendorf in the bank. That's got to be set forth itemized. What's $105,000?
Even.
How was that approved?
Yeah.
The next thing you say to yourself and you look at is $2.7 million goes to the client. That's the net.
Okay, 2.7. It actually is $2,765,000. Supposedly, that's supposed to be paid out to, even though the other monies is not really accounted for. They just conjured up some charges for other people to get money. But $2,765,000 was supposed to be paid to the sons. So where the hell is that money? Because they ain't never get it. Let's listen, y'all.
From the 4.3, if that settlement disbursement sheet was going to be followed, should have been paid to the PR, who would distribute all of it but $50,000, because that's the survival claim. There's two claims that were brought. A wrongful death, which is the kids bring a claim for the loss and love of their mother, which goes outside of the probate court. But a survival claim is Gloria's claim, because she survived for 3 weeks.
Right.
And they allocated $50,000 to that. That money was never paid into the court. It was never distributed through the estate.
Oh, wow.
And what else they didn't ever disclose to Judge Mullen was Gloria had $675,000 of medical bills.
That's what I was just going to say. That $50,000 that was supposed to be allocated for her surviving for those 3 weeks could have went towards her medical bill. But the sons never got it. But actually her medical bills, oh my God, was it? $675,000, y'all. My God, today. Oh God.
The Trident Hospital for being there in 3 weeks. And they crafted a settlement that only $50,000, if it was ever paid, would go to pay off the medical bills.
That ain't nothing compared to what her bill was. $50,000 wasn't gonna cover nothing. Child.
And when you structure something like that, it's Medicaid fraud.
Yes, it
because
is.
there was enough money in the $4.3 million recovery to pay off the medical bill of $675,000.
Yeah.
But the way they structured it and Judge Mullen signed it, only $50,000 would be available to pay medical bills, because the wrongful death money that would have gone to the kids, the $2.7 million, that's not part of the estate, and they're not liable for their mother's medical bills. So what happened? The check went straight to Corey Fleming.
Wow.
So you ask me, okay, how did Alec end up with the money? Alec told Corey, now Alec's the defendant, we're going to do a structure. We're going to buy an annuity for these kids through a company called Forge Consultants in Atlanta.
Now, Corey Fleming, who is the lawyer for the two sons, who is Alec's best friend, is going to give Alec the check that's supposed to go to the sons to invest for them. And they don't know nothing about it. They don't know nothing about it.
Some of the lawyers in the state like me, when we get a big lump sum settlement for, let's say it's a minor kid or somebody that is paralyzed and has ongoing medical needs, you don't give them the money all at once. One, because there's big tax consequences. But two, you buy an annuity so that $2.7 million is paid over 15 years, turns out to be worth like $6.5 million.
Got it.
The only problem is Corey never got any documents from Forge, and he's taking direction from the defendant, who tells him, after you take your fees, write the check to Forge and send it to a P.O. box in Hampton, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And there's not one single document.
Oh, wow.
Forge's name on it. And oh, by the way, if you're going to do a structure like that, you got to get court approval. It's got to be disclosed to the judge in the petition, and the order that Judge Mullen signs has to approve that there's going to be a structure and an annuity, and the money is going to be paid out over time. None of that's done. So Corey takes his direction from Alex to do a check in the name of Forge, not Forge Consultants, which they know about, because I've spoken to Michael Gunn and Spooner Phillips at Forge Consultants, and they say, oh man, Corey knows exactly what we do, because when you do a structure, you get tons of documents in advance of the settlement, because you have to see what the annuity return is going to look like over a 10 or 15-year period. And number two, the beneficiaries have to sign off that they're going to get their money over time instead of all at once. None of that was done.
None of it.
So the check is made out to Forge. Alec Murdoch gives him a P.O. box where it's sent to. The check goes in the P.O. box. Alec Murdoch opened up a bank account at Bank of America under the name of Forge, got the check, cashed it, and walked away with the money.
Okay, so how in the hell is Alec Murdoch even allowed to open a bank account under the name of a motherfucking investment company? Like, where they do that at? Y'all listen. This boy, I tell you, this is something else right here. This is like one of the episodes of, let me see. Yeah, anybody that watch the show called Greed? Like an episode of Greed, or maybe an episode of, hell, I don't even know if I've seen an episode of anything like this. This is too much. This is too much. All right, y'all, it's like 6 more minutes left in this episode, and then we're going to end it. We're going to continue tomorrow, but I'm behooved. I'm trying to figure out how in the hell Alec Murdoch can go to the bank. Well, of course, he went to the Bank of America. Now, for those that know the Bank of America, to be honest, it handles people mostly with a certain amount of money. I mean, and if he went to a Bank of America in that little town or county or whatever that they're from, He probably got some of them people. There's no way that Alec Murdoch should be able to go into a bank and get a bank account with the name of an investment company, which is not his. Thank you. He shouldn't be able to do that. And that way, that check that was made out to the investment company was able to be gotten by him, put into that bank account, and he'd be able to get that money. That is some weird shit. All right, y'all, let's listen.
So what Eric Land is saying here is absolutely appalling. He's basically saying that two prominent attorneys in South Carolina were able to do the scheme to steal from a grieving, hardworking family who deserved money from their mother's death and needed it, but never got a dime due to their greed. So the latest revelations in the Gloria Satterfield case leave us with so many questions about the South Carolina justice system. Did Corey and Alec do this scheme to other people? How did our justice system allow this to happen? And how many people will go down for this?
I think we're only halfway through the onion, because I think that this citadel of this Murdoch, the Murdoch citadel, is going to fall.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of this, I think the Murdoch firm will not be what it was. There won't be the word Murdoch
Absolutely
in there.
not.
I think the solicitor's office is going to be completely different. Whether Duffy Stone, stays solicitor, who knows? I don't see, I'd be shocked if Corey Fleming keeps his law license, but who knows?
He should.
Or should.
Yeah.
I think there's I think the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court is going to look at how the court system is run down there, and clerks of court, probate court, how it's all run. I think there's going to be a whole host of disinfectant on that whole town because of all this. And you guys keep doing the sun like you're doing it. Nothing can get swept under the rug.
Before we finish this episode, I want to talk about who Gloria was as a person, because Gloria and her families are victims in this, and we need to talk about them. So I spoke with Kim Brandt, who is a former Hampton resident who knew Gloria Satterfield.
So she was not living the life of someone who worked as hard as she worked. She didn't, she probably entered the workforce right out of high school, or maybe, I don't know if she had a high school degree, but she worked hard, and she was honest and kind. She had a good heart. She would help a stranger when she probably needed to be doing something for herself. For instance, here's a Gloria story. My sister's father-in-law passed away, and I ran over to the house, and one of the neighbors was picking up pine straw.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you for supporting the channel, sweetheart. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that.
In the pastor's yard, and he was handicapped. He could get on the riding lawnmower, but he was in a wheelchair at home. So his lawnmower had gotten too close to the ditch, and he tipped over and was sort of half in the ditch and half out. So I ran in looking for my brother-in-law, but Gloria was the only person home. So she ran out in her apron, and she and I just lifted him back on his riding lawnmower back onto the road so that he could continue on with his grass catching.
Wow.
She's just that person. I mean, she didn't hesitate. She just dropped it and ran. And basically, I don't even know if I had my hands on the lawnmower. She just did it herself.
Yeah.
And that was how she was.
But as kind and sweet as Gloria was, she had a very tough life. I've been told that she was homeless for multiple times while working for the Murdoch family.
Wait. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't. The lady just said the woman was homeless several times while working for the Murdochs. So that mean they wasn't paying that lady nothing, y'all. Listen.
Dropped it and ran. And basically, I don't even know if I had my hands on the lawnmower. She just did it herself. And that was how she was.
But as kind and sweet as Gloria was, she had a very tough life. I've been told that she was homeless for multiple times while working for the Murdoch family. And I'll repeat that, while working for the Murdoch family, who owned multiple homes while Gloria was raising their children.
All the family worked, but they struggled. They never seemed to have a vehicle that, we think we take things for granted, like having a job, a consistent job where you had regular hours and a working vehicle and a safe, comfortable home, a roof over your head that didn't leak, and you weren't concerned about whether or not your electric bill was going to be able to pay your electric bill or get gas for your vehicle. There was always a struggle.
Now, lawyers Eric Bland and Ronald Richter, who specialize in attorney malpractice, are fighting for justice for Gloria's family.
Think about the type of courage it finally took for them to go see a lawyer and pursue a possible claim against the Murdochs. Now they want answers.
Yeah.
Which they wanted from the start about the money. Now they want answers about their mother. And right now, until Alex has proven otherwise, she died because of the dogs. But they also want justice now. And justice comes in many forms. It comes in getting the money, like you said, that they deserve. But if somebody, if a 57-year-old woman died prematurely at somebody's hands, well, then justice has to be served for that too.
So we've learned a lot more about Gloria Satterfield and her interactions with the Murdoch family and who she was as a person. And we're going to save that for another episode. So stay tuned to the Murdoch Murders podcast. And as always, check out fitsnews.com. That's FITS news.com for the latest updates in this insane saga.
All right, y'all. Lord have mercy. Okay, so that's the end of that episode, y'all. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with part 2. I'm just I don't know what to say, y'all. I'm shocked that this type of stuff can happen. Like, it's weird. It's weird, but you know what? I've always felt like, and y'all know how I speak about how I feel about people that, values money over like people's lives and shit of that nature. Like this is with this lady right here. This is a case of, money, her life and her existence, and even before she passed, had a price over it. Like, how in the hell does this woman as a housekeeper work for this family, the Murdochs, for over 20 years? Them to raise at least one of their sons we know of. Not only did she work for them for over 20 years, she worked for their friends apparently, did work outside with their friends. And she was homeless numerous of times while working for these people. This is a lot, y'all. This is a lot. And this is just this is only part 1. And from what I can see, it's like 6 parts to this, what happened to Gloria Satterfield. And we're going to cover them all because I got a feeling that some other stuff is going to come out. But right now, we're going to end it at 3 hours. I actually wanted to end it at 2, but sometimes, wait a minute, somebody else. Hold on, y'all. I got to thank somebody else. Hold on. Listen. Y'all, please do me a favor and hit the like button if you don't do anything else. And thank you for I think I was consistent with between 40 and 50 people here today. So everybody, please be sure to hit the like button for me to get this commentary, hashtag content that matters in the algorithm. Okay. Please hit the like button. Feel free to hit the cash out before we get off. Once the live is over, you can hit the super thanks if you're watching a replay to support the content and the channel. Somebody else. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, yeah. This is a lot. Shout out to Love Baby. Sweet Berry. So see, actually I be wanting to do this like whatever time. If I don't do it at like 8 in the morning before Trey goes on, I like to do it right after he gets off. So to be honest, but see, for 8 o'clock in the morning for me, it's kind of shifty, depending on what I have to do that day or what's going on that day. But I probably start doing this consistent commentary on this channel for this particular content. If Trey goes on at 10:10 at his regular time, then it'll be anytime after he's done, which will be between 1 and 2. I started kind of late today though, because it's a Monday. Mondays are always busy for me. But what I want to try to do is keep it between 1 and 2. After Trey gets off his morning live. Shout out to Love Baby. Thank you, Love Baby. She said for supporting the channel. Thank you, sweetheart, for supporting this content. I really, really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. What was I saying? I was saying something. It's got to be a whole lot more to this, y'all, because this is, like I say, part 1, and there's 6 parts to this. Yeah, he fired Sweet Berry. But I really can't fire him because I fell asleep last night on the live. So I don't know if he's asleep or just busy. Honestly, if he was just busy, he would have came in and out. But I think he's asleep. I really think he's asleep. But it's okay because I fell asleep last night, child. Thank you, E. Brooks. Thank you, sweetie, for dropping that link. E. Brooks, also, before we get off, can you please drop Raina's link? You know, all the links. Raina, Cam, Slay, Goddess, all our peeps. Just as many as you can get in before I sign off, okay? Oh, you fired him. Okay, Sweet Berry, then that's good then. As long as I don't have to fire him, because he could have fired me last night. So you can fire him. You good. Thank you, Lady DMV. I always call you Lady DMV, but thank you, sweetheart, for supporting the channel. I appreciate you. I do. I really do. So yeah, y'all. So shout out to our Thornberry, y'all. Y'all know that Thornberry has been in Tokyo. She is back. She is safe. And she called me today when she got back. And I'm so excited that she's back. She's really tired, y'all. That's the only reason why she wasn't up here. Thank you, Fawn, for staying up throughout the live stream, girl. But yeah, she's back, y'all. She's back from Tokyo. Remember I told y'all to send up prayers for her. And she's back and she's safe. Our fun is back from Tokyo. Konnichiwa! Konnichiwa! Oh, so that being said, y'all, we're going to get off of here. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back. I got my other live set for 7, but I think it's going to actually be about 8. Because I'm going to try to eat something, take me a shower, and I don't know if I'm getting a nap in, but I do have to do certain things before I come back live, because when I get off live later, I will be going to bed. It's been a long day. All right. So that being said, I love y'all. I so much appreciate y'all supporting this content that matters, the positive content. Of course, I do appreciate y'all on the fuck shit channel as well. But it means a lot for people to support this content. You know what I'm saying? So y'all be good. Listen, if you're traveling home from work, please be careful. If you're experiencing any type of rain or thunderstorms, which we are, y'all be careful, be safe. All right. And so yeah, y'all be safe, be blessed, never stress. I'll see y'all later on in my other live. If not, I'll catch y'all on tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow between 1 and 2 with part 2 of what happened to Gloria Satterfield. It's sad. It's sad. You drunk, sleepy? Take a nap, Fawn, so you can wake back up. Well, I don't know. Fawn, I honestly think if you go to sleep after this live, you're probably not gonna be up for the later live, because you off. Your jet lag and your time change and things. But thank you for staying up for this. I appreciate it. Love you, boo. All right, y'all, we're gonna get out of here. Listen, y'all be good and be safe. And I'll see y'all later. Thank y'all so much for joining. Shout out to the True Sippers, State Gang, my fabulous, wonderful moderators, eBooks, you're the best. And my monetary contributors. Thank y'all so much. Oh, and shout out to Truth as well, who had to get off because of business. All right. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Bye bye you.